Good afternoon, everybody. It is May the 12th, 2025. We are very quickly approaching the last month before NHL draft season. We're all extremely privileged today because through thick and thin, after a harrowing adventure through the streets of Toronto, filled with despair and combat and questing, our producer AJ Jadaro has wonderfully decided that he's capable of showing up today after what was really a harrowing experience in the
Yep.
city of
Yep.
Toronto. So AJ, why don't you educate the crowd about exactly what you've been through, exactly how you're going to handle it, exactly how much sick leave you need,
But I'm
and
still here
you're
because I'm a
still
trooper.
here because you're a trooper. So regale us while people file in of exactly what has gone on in your life over the last 48 hours.
All right. So for those who don't know, but you should by now because I'm sure I've badgered you all with the fact that I work 12-hour weekend overnight shifts. My shift ended yesterday and there was crazy amounts of traffic. So me, on 4 hours of sleep, decided screw it. I'm walking to Ossington Station because I literally passed 4 buses on the way there. I walked about halfway, I was fine, and then I realized, oh, the roads are open. I'll just hop on the bus I passed like 20 minutes ago when it arrives at Dundas, which I did. Got to Ossington fine. I heard my train coming. And me, being a bit of an idiot, was like, all right, I'm going to jump down this staircase like a couple steps at a time and try and catch the darn train. I did that. I rolled my ankle pretty badly to where I sprained it. But because I am him, I still caught the train with a sprained ankle, hopping on one foot. Climbed up the steps when I got to Islington Station because I'd called my dad to come pick me up. And funny enough, they decided, no, your train's not going to your normal station. We're going to drop you off one station before your actual spot. So my dad came
Old
pick me
Mill?
up. No, not Old Mill.
No.
Kipling's my station. I don't care. You're not going to find my
Oh,
address.
Islington. Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
I thought you
yeah.
meant a stop before
And Royal York
Islington.
is ahead of that anyways, so
Right. It's been a while.
it has been for you.
It's been a while
But
since I've been in those parts.
yeah, so I sprained my ankle pretty bad, and I'm okay. But yeah, I'm a trooper, and I want you to all feel sorry for me. And then I endured the Leafs loss. I didn't even realize that the Jets game was going on because I was so out of it after working those hours and coming home, man, with a sprained ankle. And
Yeah.
So feel bad
I
for me. It was the worst day of my life. Not actually,
yeah.
though.
I missed the Winnipeg Jets game as well. I was out doing Mother's Day stuff in Orangeville, Ontario.
I saw the
really, really
goal
fun
though,
time.
that like the controversial goal. Like I turned on the television as they were reviewing it, and yeah, call made sense to me. Sorry, Jets fans.
Yeah, I think so. That's the thing. I think it was because Hellebuck batted it into his own net, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of nullifies if there's something, like if that puck had just bounced over the net and play continued, I'm pretty sure everything would have just continued as if it were fine, right?
Yeah, or if
Um,
the kicking motion directly led to the puck going into the back of the net, like it was the last thing to happen, then it would have been the way it is. But we got a great title out of it, so at some level,
yes.
I can't say I'm happy because it's now a 2-2 series, but I don't know.
Well,
Somehow I still believe to an extent. I still believe.
yeah, I mean they are the Canadian teams this year. They are not on the ropes. I shouldn't say on the ropes, but it has been a little weird. It's been a tough
Tenuous.
couple of days for fans of Canadian NHL teams that are still in the playoffs for sure. But before we get into talking about the playoffs, I do want to do some housekeeping. Number one, if you are a subscriber to the website, scouching.ca, you now have access to a brand new blog post that goes through some of the things from the under 18s that I took away from it. If you're a Puck Prep subscriber, I've got recaps of the entire Canada and US rosters up there now, so you can check that out if you are a subscriber over there. Yeah, so if you're a subscriber at any tier, you get a look at that new blog post that I put together this morning. Nothing too insane, but some interesting things have shifted for me, and so decided I'd summarize things like that. And there's scouching reports coming. So we did a couple last week. We did a few the week before. There are 3 coming this week as well. We have one scheduled for tomorrow at noon, then Wednesday at noon, and we'll have another one ready to go for Friday at noon. Tomorrow, I believe, is Bill Zonin. Either Bill Zonin, Bill, or I must also say, before we do the Bill Zonin thing, I listen to games on mute. I must say, just because that's how I work. And so sometimes I don't catch the pronunciations of players until way late into the year, and that's something that I definitely need to do better on. But apparently, there's a guy named Bill in Quebec whose last name is pronounced with a Quebec accent, Bill Zonon. So there's that. So keep that in mind. I am a fool for that kind of thing, but moving forward, Bill Zonon, it'll take some time to getting used to, but he is one of the 2, and Cullen Potter is the other one.
Yes.
Both are very good players. They're going to be good ones to watch, so you don't want to miss those. And the last thing, we have begun planning our sort of draft festival week, the week of the NHL draft this year. So obviously we're going to have a show the Friday night and the Saturday during the day. But Monday, we have already scheduled in our community mock draft. So if you're not familiar, we have done this every year where we get people who are at first dibs, go to subscribers of the site, and then people then come on a first come, first served basis. And essentially everybody gets 3 draft picks. We do 3 rounds. We got our graphic designer furiously putting together the pick is in transitions, improving on last year's
He's
iteration.
beyond our graphic designer now. He is editor and graphic
he's an editor,
designer.
yes. Exactly. And so that's going to be coming. Registration's not open yet. I just put the form together yesterday. We're going to do that a little bit closer to the date, but the date is in. It's the Monday before the draft, which is June the 23rd. I am in PEI the week before, so we can't do anything the week before the draft, but we're going to try to slam as much content as we can into the week of the draft, and it's going to be a very, very fun time. So that will happen on the 23rd, unless I think that's the last possible day of the Stanley Cup final. So unless there's a game that night, we'll be doing a night show then and have a little fun and do all those things. So
if not, will we just move it to the Tuesday?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Probably. We'll figure it out. We'll see how the season goes. We still got a long way to go. But that's it for the housekeeping. That's all I've got on that note. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you Thursday afternoon. And yeah, it was a good time. No, I'm kidding. Wasn't that hilarious?
Yes, my sprained ankle is too hard. Such a debilitating injury that I can't press buttons for that.
I'm just imagining AJ on a street corner in Liberty Village in Ontario doing the Peter Griffin thing, sitting on the ground.
I made it. No, I made it to Ossington Station. It was once I got on the train with like a bunch of old people all around me, and I'm going, because my ankle is. Oh my god, dude! It was like I had.
Gone.
It's not gone. It's there.
Basically.
But it's like I had 2 tumors on the right side of my right ankle. It swelled up that badly, and I still walked on it because I'm an idiot.
sounds like you need some ice for that bad boy.
Don't you worry, there is ice on it. Well, not right now, but there will be after the stream.
Nice. That puts the ice in nice. Okay. Well, let's get into this. Let's get into this because the playoffs are still out of control and insane and wild and crazy. This has been I've been asking this of people the last few days because I was out obviously yesterday with some people who are hockey fans, and we were trying to figure out in the last like week and a half how many goals have gone in that are like, how many times do you see that happen like ever? Like things that happen even in the regular season of an NHL game, maybe like once every month. Like weird shots from behind the net or from the boards or whatever, and they deflect off of 2 skates, and like the Leafs overtime goal against or the Panthers overtime goal against the Leafs that just sort of bounced literally right over the head of the player. Like it wasn't a direct deflection in flight, it bounced up in the air and into the net over top of Joseph Wool's head.
Nice way to start my weekend shifts. Fantastic
good way to go. Good way to go. Um, look, it is a pretty wild time to be a hockey fan. Every series, I would say, has had some level of craziness to it. I mean, I think the most like hockey style series has been Carolina Washington. Um, and even that one has been a little bit nutty. I mean, the Carolina Hurricanes have kind of cooled it a little bit they were talking about it a lot on the broadcast, where the Carolina Hurricanes kind of started the series kind of playing that Carolina hockey of like chaos, throw stuff at the net, see what happens, capitalize on it, blah, blah, blah. And Washington seems to have countered that decently well. And now they're sort of playing this more, this more structured kind of game or whatever. Like it just seems a lot more balanced. I'm looking at the expected goals. They call it the worm on hockeyviz.com,
Do we want to
where
start
it
with that
shows.
series?
Yeah, sure. It's basically like a graph that tracks the expected goal differential between the two teams during the game, and it was pretty much all Washington most of that game, but Carolina won 4-0. I mean, Freddie Anderson made some pretty serious stops early in that game that I can recall right away. But as that game wore on, like second period into the third period, that's kind of when Carolina sort of picked things back up. But I mean, you still look at Carolina's shot attempts here. I mean, they had a lot of stuff coming at the net from pretty much all over the place, and the Washington Capitals made their chances count from in front of the net, and it didn't seem to matter. Um, but I mean, I saw a bit of this game. I was keeping an eye on it, and I mean, I don't know about this series, like which way it's gonna go,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, like from what I've seen. Um, I'm just gonna be sure I don't. Yeah, so the Carolina Hurricanes are up 2-1.
Yep.
I don't think the Capitals have played like they're a team that's done. I don't think that's what's occurring here. I mean, game 4 being in Carolina, that's a tough one to win. And obviously if Carolina wins, that's a 3-1 series lead, and that could suck. But on the other hand, like again, these games are the ones that matter. Like that Leaf game last night against Florida, it's a 2-1 series. Like those are the really interesting ones to me that kind of people don't forget about, but don't really think about, is like the difference between a 2-2 and a 3-1 series is psychologically pretty huge.
It is.
Um, so yeah, I
I
mean,
watched
look,
game 2 of
yeah,
that
yeah.
Washington and Carolina game, and
Was
it
Which
kind
one
of
was
just
that one?
it was the one where Washington won
Oh,
again.
okay.
And it felt
Right.
like game 1 almost identically, only Carolina didn't score as much on their chances. But like there was a similar play where Shane Gostisbehere gets beat, and then the Washington Capitals go up 1-0, and
Yep.
Carolina couldn't deal with it at that point. Like that's what I remember of that game. Because
Yeah.
game 1 had a similar play where Gostisbehere gets beat. I think the one in game 2 was actually more reasonable, because I think he was already pinching up a little bit, and there was like a weird, like I think, didn't the puck hit off of him in a weird way?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
but I just found it kind of funny that get both game 1 and game 2, Shane Gostisbehere is on the ice on an attack that's coming up his
Yep.
side of the ice, and Washington capitalizes on it. I think it was Connor McMichael in one of those games that got the goal.
Well, they didn't score. They didn't score in the last one they played.
I mean either in game 1 or 2, because I'll be honest, game 3 I was on my way to work, which is
Right.
not great. And I looked at the score of that game once I got there, and I'm like, oh, so Carolina just played Carolina hockey the entire time. But no, it's kind of funny
Not
that you
really.
mentioned that.
Yeah, not really. They kind of have cooled that off a little bit. I mean, there was a difference in balance of shot attempts, but it wasn't like what it was in the first couple of games where it was like 90-30 or
So
whatever
what,
it was.
they've limited their shot attempts by 20? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, that's basically what it is. I mean, yeah, and also you're right. Connor McMichael did score in that first game, or that game 2
Yeah.
in that 3-1 win. Um,
When am I not
but
right?
yeah,
Come on, Will.
I know exactly. Never wrong. Never wrong.
Never wrong.
I mean, yeah. So Carolina, I mean, it's been a fun series to watch because again, it's like it's really interesting watching the Capitals because they play a certain type of game where they're well coached, they're well structured, they have a lot of guys who you can tell that that's a group that plays for each other and they're selfless and they move the puck really well and do all those things. And, someone like Tom Wilson has been outstanding, and Connor McMichael has been really good. Really, really good, I'd say, like kind of almost like a breakout. It's like, oh, this is what Connor McMichael can do, right? Like really good series from him
Who
too.
wins a cup first, McDavid or McMichael?
That's a good question.
Who's the goated Connor?
That's a good one. Yeah, that's who's the greatest Connor that ever lives. But yeah, I mean, look, the thing too is like Carolina is almost the kind of opposite style where it's like they just come at you all the
Pound
time
you,
and
try and beat you into
yeah,
submission, mentally destroy you with all these
yep,
shot attempts where like they're basically trying to drag down your morale so you feel out of it. Like that's what I think.
yeah,
It's just a bombardment of you're going to feel like you're being dominated
yeah,
even if our chances are not that good.
yeah. Like guys, I'm looking at the shot map here, and it looks like basically guys like Burns, Walker, anything on the right side of the ice, the defenseman will put it on net. Like that kind of seems to be how they instigate their offense, and then there's just chaos around the net. And it's like if they can capitalize on a rebound or capitalize on, I'm looking at it now, like tips and just little chances in front, then you never know it. They chip away at it,
They are
and again,
chaos
Freddie
merchants.
Anderson, yeah, and again, Freddie Anderson really really good in net, especially when he faced some really tough chances.
Where was this Freddie Anderson when he was on my team?
Well, that's the thing. He did have some spectacular playoff performances in Toronto. He did for sure. It's just when he wasn't. It was like Bobrovsky almost, where like there are some games you see Sergei Bobrovsky and he's unbeatable, and then there are other games where he is very beatable and it's very strange. And then the next game he's like, "Oh, I think I'm going to stop 50 saves today. I think I'm going to make 50 saves tonight, and you're not going to win." And then the next night,
Bobrovsky's good at adjusting.
he
I
is,
think
yeah, yeah.
that's. I don't know what it is with Anderson yet. I'm not gonna lie. Like what?
He's huge.
Oh, okay.
He's
huge and
humongous.
Danish.
He's huge and Danish. Yeah, he is. But yeah, so it's a series that I'm curious to watch the rest of. It's been it's good hockey, two good teams. Like I think both teams have an argument to win it. But I mean, personally, I'm more biased towards the Carolina Hurricanes because
He's got more
their
friends on that team. That's why
their vibes are unmatched, and they've got really
because they draft
really
all your gems. That's really what it is.
well that too. But
They make
like,
you feel smart, right? Like if it makes me look smart, I agree with it. So that's why
yes.
that's why we support the Carolina Hurricanes.
That's a big part of it.
I would say of all the NHL teams, they're probably most similar holistically to our philosophy of drafting, developing, playing the game. Even though I think they can be a little too insane with the way they go about putting shots on net.
It is a little bit nutty, but
I appreciate
that's a
it,
team.
though.
That's a team that I think is sort of like, if you think about it, outside of not having a real superstar, they are a team that kind of has found a way to consistently be competitive for like, when was the last time you looked at the Carolina Hurricanes and went, wow, that team wasn't very good? Like
When they got Svechnikov that year, probably.
right, that was 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Going on 8. So that was a long time ago. And even then, didn't they win the draft lottery that year to like jump up quite a bit? Or am I wrong?
It's possible.
I'm going to look that up because I'm pretty sure I remember that where they won't. Yeah, Carolina was, that was 2017. Whoops, 2018. Yeah, Carolina actually wasn't that bad that year. They had a 3.3% chance of getting the second overall pick,
That's
and they
awesome.
won it. So Carolina wasn't even that bad that year, right? But you wonder, like, how have they done that, right? And they've made some good, smart signings here and there, sure, right? But by and large, that's a team that drafts really, really, really well, and keeps it super simple. Jackson Blake has been pretty good in the playoffs. Seth Jarvis is obviously a huge part of that team. I want to look at their roster and see who's on that roster right now, because I feel like a lot of them are sort of homegrown,
I don't.
developed
I
guys.
don't think so. Like, not
No,
there's
Aho.
a group of players. Like, I think it's a pretty balanced and
Yeah,
mixed.
they have signed a lot of these guys. There's a lot of guys that are signed.
Yeah, there's a
I
lot of
feel like
like
they would have
cheap good
drafted
players.
Stankoven. If Stankoven were available, they probably would have picked him.
Yeah, didn't they?
Um,
They didn't have a pick at
no,
until after
I don't
he
think they
went.
did. Yeah, I don't think so.
Because I think
But
what they did
anyway,
was they traded down. Like they traded
right.
their pick to move down in the draft that year.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but the thing is too, though, that by the way they draft, they can acquire guys.
Yes,
So, like they got a Jake Gensel last year, and it
because
was like,
of a Billy Koivunen plus
yeah, Billy
package.
Koivunen plus package, and I love Koivunen, but renting Jake Gensel probably, especially because you still look at their prospect pipeline and you're like, oh, they're still pretty good.
They have a lot
But
of solid
yes,
middle of your lineup type players in there. Like there's nobody in that prospect pool
uh,
that I think like is going to like blossom into something insane. Yeah, like
so yeah, so Carolina, by the way, passed on Stankoven twice.
oh
They drafted Scott Morrow and Alexei Hamasalmi before they looked at Stankoven. Uh,
well then they're bad.
so
They're bad at their jobs.
yeah, they're awful. Never mind. Hope the Hurricanes lose to the Capitals. It's over
Yep,
now.
yep.
Whatever. Well, that's too bad.
I,
Um,
I I'm not surprised by them taking Scott Morrow over Logan
no,
Stankoven, but
no.
Amos Salmi a little bit now that I look
Yeah,
back on it. But
yeah. Hamasalmi was a weird one, but
I still liked him.
nonetheless,
I still liked Amos Salmi.
sure, sure. But they're doing
Ham
just
and
fine. I don't
salami.
know.
Yep,
Yeah,
that's
ham
why
and
they
salami.
picked him.
Yeah, yeah, ham and salami. Anyway,
Can I make one
let's
more point about Washington that I think I've realized recently with
of
this team?
course. Of course you can.
I think with the Washington Capitals, and I could be wrong on this one, but a lot of like their puck move or like their breakouts and even just like transition play is all through their defensemen. Like so much of it is their defensemen carrying the puck and creating like because there's not a ton of like transition drivers that I can think of on like the Washington
No,
Capitals, like
not
up front
traditionally
on the forward
speaking.
group. Like Dylan
Like that's not
Strome's
the
one of the
reputation.
centers. Connor
Yeah.
McMichael can maybe do it a little bit, but I haven't seen a ton of that out of him. But I feel like a lot of it is driven through their defense, which I think is a very interesting approach to take. So that's something I noticed about them that I really like. Actually, I think it's kind of cool, but I don't know.
Mm,
It's just an observation.
I'll make a note of it. But I do notice that they do have pretty active defensemen.
Like
Um,
they're so
like
much more important in starting rushes and skating with it than a lot of other teams. Like watching the Leafs in transition, it is okay. What forward's coming back to grab it?
uh-huh.
Because they don't let anybody take the puck anymore. Morgan
No,
Riley a little bit in the playoffs, but like not even
maybe.
that
Yeah,
much,
not
really.
much. Yeah, not much.
Yeah, that's the last thing I wanted
Well,
to say about
yeah,
them.
no, I get it. That makes sense. And yeah, I mean, so I honestly don't. If I had to make a guess, I don't know who's going to win this series. I don't think Washington's out of it, but Carolina winning at home would probably be a tough one. Like winning 3 straight against the Carolina Hurricanes, the way that they are, I feel like that's a bit of a tough act. But
I think from
it's
a
not
talent
impossible.
perspective, I think I like Carolina more.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to bet on talent, as Mikko Rantanen has taught me to do. So
Well, there we go. We can move on to Winnipeg, Dallas, because
sure, let's do it.
I mean that's basically Mikko Rantanen versus the Winnipeg Jets. I mean, what a friggin' playoff this guy is having. What is I had it in front of me and I closed the tab like an idiot.
He's so
But
gross, man.
he must be among the leaders in scoring in the
Yes, he
playoffs this year.
is.
Like he must be.
He had a stretch
Uh,
of what, 15 points in 4 games or something. He's okay. He is
yeah.
number one in
Yep.
in scoring at 18 points, ahead of only Connor McDavid, who has 16,
Yep.
Leon Draisaitl, and William Nylander, who have 15.
Yeah. And it's only in terms of points per game, really him and McDavid. Like that's basically it. And the rest of them are kind of a little further behind and or they've been eliminated.
Yep.
Or they're William Nylander. So
Yeah, the GOAT,
and Leon
obviously.
Draisaitl. But anyway, yeah, so the Dallas Stars, the Mikko Rantanen show has come to town. I mean, Connor Hellebuck has gotten better Like,
Yes,
he seems a lot more there. We talked about that controversial goal before the game or before the show. We
it's a good
both
goal.
agree that I think that's a good
Or
goal.
as Jeff
Like, that
Merrick would
it
say, a
sucks.
goal.
Yeah, like, it sucks, but I think that is a goal. Um, and again, it's like the way I think about all of these things is like the logical, like the NHL, in my opinion, it's really, really hard in the NHL to 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 consistently call the game
Yep.
because it is chaos, right? You rules, generally speaking, are black and white, right? Generally.
Mm-hmm.
Not
To an
necessarily
extent.
like in the law or whatever, but like when it comes to a sport, there are things you can do and there are things you cannot do. There are things that count as X and there are things that count as Y. And in hockey, it's really, really hard to be consistent with exactly what a thing is, right? Like we've talked about something like offsides for a really long time. Like, when is a puck offside? When is it not offside? Is it, what about this specific situation? What about this? What about this? If this, what about a goal?
I love the idea of offsides where the player has control of it, even though it's like kind of
right?
behind them too, like they're making a move and that's okay. I think
Yeah,
at some level I actually like that, but it does leave way more room for interpretation on what is offside and what is not.
right.
But
Yeah,
generally, I come away from offside calls being like, "Yep, they got it right," because usually it is very clear if it is
yeah.
offside or not.
So in my mind, that to me is like it's an example of how sometimes like being more black and white with the rules are like I often think like when I track data, for example, like not all data points are created equal,
Nope.
So it's like, for example, like what is a completed pass or what is a
Yeah,
what
having
is
tracked data using your like the stuff that you track,
yeah, like
there
what is
are
what
there are
what
some passes are created way like very different.
yes,
Sometimes you will barely get that puck, and it is the
yeah,
person who is receiving it who has made an extraordinary effort in order to control that puck in a way. Like they
yes.
have to go well out of their way to get it. But hey, it's still a completed pass. It's still a completed zone
Yes.
entry.
And this is why I'm always like I do the data stuff, but I don't trust it 100%. Like I don't automatically just assume that everything's going to work out fine if the data looks good. Like that's kind of why. But with regards to this specific goal, it's like there are situations where in my work I have to be very black and white about like, well, I don't like it, but I am going to have to count it as X, like if I showed the clip to someone, they're probably going to be like, well, you can't do that. And I'm like, well, if I don't do that, then that makes other situations way more murky.
Will's gonna have to create a secondary counter for quasi. Like how much? What
Or
percentage of?
quit.
No, no, no. I just want to make your life harder. So what about a quasi thing where it's like that could have
No.
been really bad? Like there, or no, you do a clean. You do a stat for clean zone entries, like ones that are.
Yeah, I
But
don't
then, what do
know.
you define as a clean entry?
Exactly. What is clean? How long do I need to be in the shower before I'm clean, really? I don't know. I don't have a microscope. I don't get to like see how much bacteria there is on me or whatever. What's my likelihood of I don't even know. But the point is, on that goal, like it is a kind of a black and white thing. Like if that puck, let's say, had bounced right over Hellebuck, right over the net or whatever, the play probably would have just continued on as normal. But because Hellebuck touched it and it went in off of him, it kind of negated the events that
Hmm.
transpired that led to that happening.
Yeah, like if it had been kicked in directly without any
Yes.
contact anywhere else,
Yeah.
then it's no goal.
Right.
But
Exactly.
because it
So,
touches off his stick and then it goes in,
yeah.
it's a goal.
Hockey is full of these like technically X is the same as Y, even though they're wildly different actual events,
Hmm.
right? Like a kicking motion into the net, if you kicked the puck to a like line mate who tipped it in, then it counts, right? If
Now
you
Mitch
kicked it
Marner's
into
going to try all this stuff.
right,
He's
exactly.
going to be
If you
inspired.
Yeah, if you kick it to a teammate and it tips off their stick and goes in, then yeah, it's a goal. So if that teammate is replaced with Connor Hellebuck, it's the same thing. It's just that the goaltender put it in his own net by a deflection. So,
But
at
how
the
but
end of the day,
here's the other thing though. What if you kick it it hits the goalie's pad, and the pad pushes it into the post and then goes in. How do they rule that? I don't know. Probably no goal. But it's all weird, man.
Yeah.
And then we've got a chat comment saying the rule literally says even if it is deflected after, so.
Right, but they also didn't call it a kick, right? They said it was a deflection. So they kind of
they
said it was directed. Elliot Friedman said directed, not kicked. So it's different, you know. And I mean that's where the black and white fails, right? Like, what is a kick? You know, what's the line between directing something and a kick? I don't know. I don't know, but that's what, like, this is why I don't really complain about the referees. Like, it's hard. It's a hard job. Now, I think we can complain about like how the league sees certain events as like particularly dangerous, and we'll get to that. But in terms of like, you know, minute by minute refereeing an NHL game and like looking at situations like this and making calls like that, I don't think it's as simple as people seem to make it out to be. And I mean, I kind of get where they're coming from. But anyway, the point is the Jets lost, but it's not over.
But
the Jets are still good.
But our thumbnail and title says that all the Canadian teams are cooked. Will.
Yes. Well, yes, of course. The thumbnails never lie. It's okay. So it's Jover. It's done. They're all done. Call it a day. No, but that's a good series too. I wish I had seen more of it. Honestly, I missed that game with that controversial goal, but it's been really entertaining.
I'm glad I tuned in at the right time for it, as I'm icing my sprained ankle and getting ibuprofen.
Yeah, having your reconstructive surgery on your sprained ankle.
It hurts. It hurts.
Yeah. So in any case, the Winnipeg Jets, Dallas Stars. Again, it's similar to Washington, Carolina. I have no idea who's going to come away.
I feel pretty good that Dallas is going to come away with the win.
Again, I think a lot of the time it'll come down to Hellebuck. Like,
he
make those huge? You know, he'll be called upon. And Ottinger's been okay. I don't think he's been amazing, but he's been good.
But
solid.
The Dallas fans said that Ottinger's better, so therefore he is, right?
Oh, okay. Well,
do you remember the chants? I
stand corrected then. Yeah,
the biased fan chants have to be correct.
They have to be
Brady
considered.
Tkachuk is obviously better than Matthew Tkachuk because of what the Leafs fans said. It just has to be.
Exactly.
No, I vehemently disagree with that. Brady is not on the same level as Matthew. Matthew's much better. He's so much better.
I guess that's a good moment to pivot to the Toronto series, I guess, because I mean, I look at looking at Brady Tkachuk round 1 and Matthew Tkachuk this round. I don't know what's going on with Matthew Tkachuk, but he does not look like his brother did. Because I mean, Brady looked like he was in that series, and
Matthew's also hurt, man. That's another
the thing.
Part
like
of it.
he seems like he's dealing with something pretty bad, because he does not really look like much of a factor.
Allow me to indulge myself for a second here. Matthew Tkachuk is just like me, okay? He gets a sprained ankle while he's trying to catch a train, still makes it on one foot, all right?
And scores a hat trick.
Yeah, exactly. We're just built different. He and I built different. Please don't take this seriously, guys. Please, okay? I'm just trying to have fun.
Right. Yeah.
But he is that kind of person. Like, he played with a cracked sternum. A cracked sternum and won a Stanley Cup. Or it was the year before that.
I've never cracked my sternum, but I imagine it's not very fun. And I think that was last year, wasn't it?
It was one of the 2 years, man.
Because he missed some games, and they were like, is he going to come back? Like, what the hell's happening here? And then he came back and they won. I'm pretty sure that's what happened, but I could be wrong.
He's always banged up going into the playoffs, and like
he just plays that brand, man. Like, that's just how he is, right? And they've played a lot of hockey. Florida has played a lot of hockey the last few seasons, and they might continue to play some hockey. I don't know. I do think, like, you know.
Do you want to get into the game?
Yeah, so last night's game, obviously 2-0 Florida. It was the only game of the night. A little bit
past the Winnipeg game, yes. because
I thought Toronto, Florida. Oh yeah, Winnipeg was. Yep,
it was
Winnipeg did.
it was earlier in the day.
Yeah, it was earlier in the day. Right. My bad. I'm just used to staying up until 1 a.m. watching hockey games this year.
With me.
But exactly, yeah, with AJ.
Unless I'm at work.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, I watched that game with Toronto and Florida, and
That was
on
a
one
nothing
hand,
game
okay,
for
so the
Toronto.
Sternum thing was the year that Florida lost, but
Yeah.
that game was. I honestly don't really even know what to say. Like, I don't think Toronto played poorly.
No, just Florida
I think,
played Florida hockey, and it's kind of
yeah.
unstoppable when they get moving on it. Like when
Well,
they're playing that way, what can you do? Like that's why I picked the Florida Panthers to win the series originally,
right.
because that brand of hockey is just ridiculous. The Leafs.
Well, what do you mean?
couldn't get
Explain what you
going.
mean for the viewers. What do you mean?
So
like, what's the
with that? What I'm talking about is the Florida Panthers come at you with so much pace and so much intensity on the forecheck, they just hem you in. And a team like the Leafs, who don't have the best puck movers on the blue line, their problem, generally speaking, is breaking it out of their own end. In the first period alone, Toronto had 4 controlled zone entries. 4 or 5. But I know it was that low. Florida had
That's
12. Bad. Sorry, 17.
Yeah.
They had a 12 difference, like a 12 or 13 difference. That's ridiculous. Like, you can't win games if you're not entering the zone at a much more consistent rate. And Toronto, granted, a lot of penalties in that game for the Maple Leafs, and all of those calls, as much as the Leafs homer and be's like, no, they're all soft. They're all correct calls. There wasn't a single call I could actually be mad about because they were all correct on the Leafs. They were.
Yeah.
They just were. And Florida took advantage. They just peppered the Leafs most of that game. The Leafs really couldn't get anything going. And it was just, I was already in a groggy state, so I didn't really care. Not gonna lie. The ankle seems to be a big thing of this entire stream right now, and it was the only real thing present on my mind. So, like, right. I watched it, like, we're going back to Toronto, 2-2, but we'll see what happens.
So just for some data based on that game last night, the Toronto Maple Leafs spent 7 more minutes in their own end than Florida did.
Sounds about right.
But I imagine that's largely penalty kill. I can't filter out power
5-on-5?
play.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can't filter for that, at least not in front of me. But in terms of zone entries, offensive zone entries, Florida had the advantage, 110-87. And Toronto did exit the defensive zone more often successfully. But in terms of, and that's what I wanted to highlight, was Florida, the forecheck. I mean, I'm sure it's happened 7 or 8 times where Joseph Woll is playing the puck. And
he was
Florida,
great, honestly.
He was. I'm not saying he was bad, but I'm just saying that, like the forecheck from Florida, the 2-man forecheck with a third man in, like who's not necessarily that far behind. It's almost a 3-man thing. They pinned him below the goal line a bunch of times, and Toronto didn't really know how to handle that, honestly. And that's happened more than you would think. And the thing that I was surprised at, though, is you would think, well, okay, they have all these guys below the goal line. So what happens when Toronto gets the puck past those guys and, chips it into the neutral zone and goes from there? But Florida did a really good job getting back, but also their defensemen defending that blue line, especially once they had the lead. It felt like there was just no way Toronto was getting through that team. And that's the thing where I started to sort of go, is this, like, I'm not saying Toronto's going to lose the series, but it started to feel like when Toronto would lose in previous years, where it's like, to me, I look at them play hockey and I'm going, they just can't get through the opposing defense. They should be able to, because they should be fast and intense, but there's just no retrievals. There's no chip and chase. It's just try to cross the blue line, get stopped. Try to chip it past the defenseman. The second defenseman's in support. They turn the puck around and they're out of the zone. Like, there just wasn't any sort of like success in terms of actually getting some decent chances in the offensive zone. So, and that's where I start to go, okay, like Toronto, like and again, like last night, I thought Mitch Marner, like, in a 200-foot sense had a really good game.
Yep.
Generally. And I think Austin Matthews has been almost a very different version of himself. I was
But still
texting
excellent.
well, yeah, he's been very good, but I was texting a friend of mine today, and he's like, "So when do we like start getting worried about this? Because he's paid the most amount of money in the entire league to be a goal scorer, and he's not scoring goals." And I'm like, "That's fair." And I think that's reasonable. Like, I don't think you can look at the highest paid player in the league who is not necessarily known as a playmaker and going, right, but his defensive game is really good and he transitions the puck really well now and he's a good forechecker.
Unless
right?
you're
It's
me.
like, sure, but like, it's okay, sure, but like the you are paid the most, so why are you not putting points on the board and why is your team getting shut out, right? Like, and I think, what was it, the how many times have they been shut out in the playoffs this year? I feel like it's been a
Is it
couple.
twice? Maybe.
Is it two?
I
Maybe
don't think it's been
I don't
many.
I don't think it's been, yeah, never mind. That's a bad thing. Never mind. Forget I said that. The point is,
He's still
you know,
14th in points, though.
yeah,
Like
well, okay,
he's a
14th,
point per
though.
he's a point per game player in this playoffs.
Yeah, but the highest paid player in the world playing hockey is 14th in production. Like, that doesn't, like, you watch Connor McDavid, right? You and I talk about Connor McDavid all
Yeah,
the time, and we'll talk about it
because he's
more.
disgusting. He's so good
Well, and he gets paid less than Austin Matthews. So
for
it's like,
now.
you know what I'm saying, though?
I know
Like,
what you're saying.
it's the point is,
There's cap inflation. Like
okay, never mind.
I know what you're
Like,
saying. Trust me, I know what you're saying. But it's not like this guy. Look, he's not scoring goals, but he hasn't had to necessarily throughout most of these playoffs. He has 2 goals in 10 games, but he has 8 assists over that span too. And then he's playing an elite 2-way game. Like,
yes, I know. But that's the problem with Toronto that has come up every single
but
year.
everybody else is scoring. Like, Mitch Marner's scoring, William Nylander's scoring, Matthew Nyes is scoring, John Tavares is scoring, even Morgan Riley is scoring. To me, it's a non-issue. Like, because they're being able, like, it's being supplemented in other ways, and I feel like a lot of the focus has been on trying to limit Austin Matthews' goal scoring in the previous round and early in this round, but it hasn't been much of an issue. And now Florida's kind of pivoting to something else. Do you want and expect more out of him from a goal scoring perspective? Absolutely. I completely understand that point. And I would like to see it too. But he's also had quite a few injuries too that could be hampering him that way. Like in the series against Florida in 2023, like once his wrist got hurt pretty badly in the first round and going into the second, like he just wasn't the same player. But he's still finding ways to be a super impactful player despite being banged up. And yes, I am an Austin Matthews apologist. I'm not going to pretend I'm not, okay? I am absolutely, unequivocally an Austin Matthews apologist. But I think that guy's so gosh darn good regardless of the goal scoring ability. Yes, I want to see more out of him, but they're getting contributions offensively elsewhere. Not in the previous game, but I think it's going to be all about how the Leafs adjust to Florida in Game 5, because Florida adjusted masterfully to the Leafs in these last 2 games.
Well,
they really did.
The thing that did, where I sort of, like, we've talked about this off and on pretty much all season, where Toronto now has become a team where they win when they get outshot, but that is not a successful formula. And they got the absolute snot beat out of them in terms of shots on net.
But they were still in it, which is crazy.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, that you might win some of these games, but statistically speaking, if you take 100 games and you get outshot 30-20 in each one of them, and you win the first, you play 70 of those games and you win 40 of them, the remaining 30, you're going to have a hard time keeping up the same result.
Yep.
And so Toronto has done a really good job scoring goals, and I think that Toronto has done a really good job playing. It's almost like playoff offense is like the antithesis. It's like the inverse of regular season offense, right? Like, look at how many goals are being scored by some goofy nonsense.
Mitch Marner goal in Game 2.
Yeah.
To keep that, like, to win the game.
Brad Marchand overtime winner. There
Absolutely.
was
It's
there was
all
a goal that went off
weird.
Morgan Riley's feet.
Yeah, it's all weird,
Miko
dumb,
Miko
stupid stuff that ends up
Miko Rantanen ended Colorado's season off of deflecting a puck off of Sam Girard's skate. Like,
because he's Miko Rantanen.
well, sure, but like more crazy stuff, right? And so I found it really interesting watching Rick Tocchet actually on TNT, where he kind of broke it down really simply, where he was basically like, look, if I'm coaching a team and I'm in the playoffs, like a big thing we try to do is put stuff on net, but only if certain conditions are met. And
Yeah.
he's like, and what you're seeing is the difference between teams that are just throwing the puck on net and hoping something goes in or whatever, and the teams that are throwing stuff on net when they have traffic, when they have the potential to pound in a rebound or something. And Toronto's been doing that more often. And so you never know when that's going to work. It's just that Florida also does that.
Yes.
And statistically speaking, Florida has done it quite a lot more often because they're getting more stuff directed at the net. But luckily, Joseph Woll, really, really good. If he continues to be really good.
And he's the backup. That's the other thing.
And he's the backup.
He's the
yeah,
backup.
like if he continues to do that, because I don't know if Stolars is coming back. I don't think they've said if he is or not for Wednesday.
They never will. That's just
and
the
they
way
never
the
will.
playoffs operate.
That is true.
You
That is
never
true.
know anything. And then the guys come out at the last, like at the end of season meetings. Oh, I was I was playing with a punctured lung. Like
Right.
stuff like that, you know? I don't think that would actually happen. I hope
Yep.
not. I swear to God, that better not be real. People playing with punctured lungs. But like you find out about all these insane injuries, like the cracked sternum from Matthew Tkachuk in the 2023 run. But like, I look at the way the Leafs are playing, and beyond Game 4, like the first 3 games, they played excellent. I felt like they played excellent.
They played really well.
And
yeah.
Joseph Woll gave them a chance. He gave them a chance to win the last game, and he was outstanding. And this series is going to be a really close one, and it is still very winnable for the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's something you said.
Easily.
It's still a very winnable series. Do I expect them to win this series? No. I think it's about a 60% chance that the Florida Panthers do in fact advance to the next round. And I think on the east side of the bracket, the Florida Panthers are the best team still.
I mean, they are certainly one of the most frustrating teams to play against.
Yeah, because they also have insanely good two-way players as well. Like, think about it. They have 2 guys nominated for the Selke this year, and one of them's probably going to win.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous.
They have great goaltending, really good defense for the most part, and their offense is awesome as well. And they antagonize the living crap out of you. They're just...
Do they ever?
They are such a well-constructed team. And the fact that the Leafs have hung in for a lot of this series and led at certain points as well, I think it's a testament to how talented the Leafs are. I don't love the play style necessarily, like the entire way, but I don't feel like this team has crumbled in this series.
Right.
I don't feel like this has been...
No, I don't think so.
In previous years, mentally they would get shot and it'd be done. I don't think that the mentality of this group can be shaken the way that it was in previous years.
No, I don't think so either. And I think the thing that I think this a lot, right? Where one thing I've learned over the years of watching as much hockey as I do.
Bergeron won a cup with a punctured lung. Of course he did.
He did. Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Crazy. Just remarkable.
But yeah, I mean, like the thing I also try to say to like fans of specific teams, it's like, think about how well the other team plays too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it isn't always that your team didn't show up, right? Because I watched Florida last night and they locked it down. Like Toronto had the shot on goal advantage in the third period, but you almost wouldn't know, right? Because of how many times the Florida Panthers just kind of stopped them up, blocked them on their possessions, forced them to dump the puck, did all of these things that really just frustrated them. And there were chances for Toronto to tie it up, of course, right? Like that game could have been much different, but
Florida's penalty kill too, man. Like they've allowed 4 goals in the entire Stanley Cup playoffs,
which is crazy.
And they're a team that they know they're going to take penalties, but they are so confident that they're just going to kill them off, and they do. They only let Tampa score 2. They've only let Toronto score 2 so far.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, Toronto's not out of it. I think this one goes to 7. I would not be
That's where I'm
surprised
leaning
at
as well.
all if this one goes to 7. And then who knows? I have no clue. I don't know. But at the end of the day, we'll see.
I
I
think
don't
once we're
know.
done discussing all the teams left in the playoffs, I think it'd be fun for us to give who we think is going to be the finalists and then who we think is going to win at this point.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, on that note, we can go to Vegas, Edmonton, and finish this off
Let's do
because
it.
holy God. Do you want to like this series?
I didn't see any of the last game because I was at work. I will
It
admit.
was great. It was
I know it was 4 seconds left or something like that, or
it was point
point
four.
four. See, this is how
It
you know.
was, but it was like a game where it was like I
Riley
was
Smith,
watching it.
Etobicoke boy.
Yeah,
Shout
I
out
was.
all my Etobicoke legends.
I was watching it with Rayanne actually a little bit,
Oh,
and
poor
and
Ed.
first little bit of the game. I mean, Edmonton was up 2-0, right? Like it kind of was a game that was like a little bit of, for me at least, a little bit of a snooze fest. Like especially in the second period, kind of it was just like they were tied and it was kind of really low event and kind of going back and forth and just not really like whatever. The first period was insane. Like they were goals after goal after goal. And then Vegas went up 3-2, but then it just like kind of kept just Vegas kind of had more of the advantage as the game went on, but I still watched that game and I'm like, this probably is going to overtime. Like these two teams are just trading chances. They're trading possession of the puck. It wasn't really like super heavy loaded on one side of the coin. And then it was over. Like
Right.
I didn't really know. I mean, on the other end of the Discord call, I heard some very strange noises coming from my counterpart in Edmonton. He was
Send
he
Stuart
was
Skinner to China. I saw him comment that today.
For a split second, he was going, "That's not a goal. That's not a goal." And then they showed one shot of the above the net thing, and he went, "That's a goal. I'm going to bed. Talk to you later," and left. Pretty much. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but it was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. I have never that. Yeah, people are blaming Stuart Skinner on that. Like he came out of the net and was out of position, and it was all craziness.
Dude, he had 0.4 seconds left and he
But it
blew it.
was
Come on.
but also like that's hockey, baby.
It is
Like
hockey.
that the puck was probably not going to go in anyway. But if you reach for it and you're directing yourself towards the net, your own net, and you hit it, your body is going to direct that puck right into the net. Like that's
Please
just how
enlighten
she
me,
goes.
Will. What did the Connor McDavid reaction camera look like when they showed him? Because I want to know.
I don't remember.
Oh,
I don't think they caught it. I could be wrong, but I don't remember it.
Or not a good job then, Sportsnet. Not a good job. You should have caught that. You always have the McDavid camera when Bouchard screws up.
It's true. It's true.
He's always got a look of what the.
Yeah, exactly. What the hell is happening?
You moron. You complete buffoon.
Yeah. I mean, this is a series that again, like, it's favored Edmonton by and large.
It's been fun. Really, it's favored Connor McDavid because in the games, like, dude, this guy. I'm sorry.
Ever.
Yes,
he's the greatest of all time.
I don't care. Like, even if he doesn't win a cup, there is nobody who can do what he does, man. I've never seen anybody come close to it. And
here's a question.
Again, I'm an Austin Matthews apologist. I can't in good conscience put him in the same tier as Connor McDavid. No. Connor McDavid is a mutant.
Here's a question though. If Connor McDavid is a member of the Buffalo Sabres, have they won a Stanley Cup by now?
No, because whatever team they traded him to afterwards would have won a Stanley Cup. That's what
Buffalo trading him wherever,
to Vegas instead of
oh my god!
Instead of getting Jack Eichel.
Yeah. Who else was in that draft lottery? I mean, Toronto drafted 4th.
Yeah, they got Mitch Marner. Arizona, they took Dylan Strome.
Yeah, I mean, I bet if he's in Arizona, they're still in Arizona. Because I mean, you'd have to be a complete and total idiot to have Connor McDavid on your hockey team and not be able to sell tickets.
That dude is so good, though. Like, I can't believe it. I can't believe how ridiculous he is as a player. I just can't.
Yep. Carolina had the 5th pick that year.
They took Noah Hannafin.
They took Noah Hannafin that year. I totally forgot about
when
that.
Carolina wasn't smart.
I interrupted
not
you.
for anything, but they weren't as smart back then. But I did forget to mention, so I'm going to quickly mention it about the Leafs-Panthers series, and this will be the last thing I say. Finally, in like Game 4, I think the Leafs were not the team winning the most puck battles. Like, I think for like the first time in this playoff series.
Yeah,
or even in the entirety of the playoffs, the Leafs were like very much on the losing side of puck battles. But I'll move back to Edmonton. It really does come down to Connor McDavid, man. Like, it doesn't matter how bad the goaltender is in Edmonton. Yeah. It just doesn't. They've been working with Calvin Pickard, and Calvin Pickard's what, 31?
And he hasn't lost, you know. I mean, like, he's injured now, but like, yeah.
I just don't know. I feel like the Edmonton Oilers will go as far as Connor McDavid, and Leon Draisaitl will carry them. And to be fair, they've had some really great offensive contributions from guys like Corey Perry kind of coming back and doing his thing, but in a tertiary role because he's not the focal point. So he kind of sneaks in and is able to get his offense because the focus is on Connor McDavid, as it should be, because that guy is just...
Well, and Perry still has, like, you can still tell that he's skilled,
smart too.
And yeah, goes to the net, and if that puck lands on his stick right in the front of the ice or in front of the net, he'll find a way to put it in the net. And like, that is so valuable, right? Like,
somehow
that works.
Corey Perry is more valuable than like Evander Kane and Zach Hyman in these playoffs, which is just ridiculous. And Corey Perry, the first Stanley Cup I ever watched, like fully through as a child, was the Anaheim Ducks defeating the Ottawa Senators.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And Corey Perry is still in the National Hockey League, in the Stanley Cup playoffs, being an impactful player. That's just wild to me. I was in first grade when that series happened. In first grade. Sorry to make you feel old, Will.
I was there for the J.S. Jaguar Conn Smythe run. I was there for that. The Mighty Ducks of Anaheim logo with the eggplant jerseys, they were this close to doing it. And it was just...
And you know what's even crazier about that run? That Stanley Cup brought Randy Carlyle, Brian Burke to Toronto. Gosh darn it. It's even more sad for Canadian hockey team fans because it ruined my team for many, many years.
Well, luckily, hopefully, maybe it'll all be in the past and the Toronto Maple Leafs will enter a new era.
We're done talking about them. We've hit the cap.
Yeah, we're done talking about them. Yeah, anyway, we hit the cap. Yeah, we're done. We gotta
get back to Edmonton, Vegas.
Oilers Golden Knights. Yeah, so I mean, every game has been super entertaining. You know, we had an overtime game 2, close 4-3 game, obviously the other night that ended in a extraordinarily dramatic fashion. And I think that's going to be a trend that continues. Like Vegas, I think Edmonton has looked like the better team, but you said it. Like Connor McDavid,
because of the X factor
the
guys.
Horses. Yeah, the
Leon Draisaitl's, the Connor McDavid's, and then the tertiary X factor and Corey Perry. Yeah. Like Corey Perry is actually the definition of intangible in terms of what he does to an extent, right? Like that is... So many guys are labeled, they're winners, right? Like they've won the Stanley Cup before. Yeah, but like, what's the context behind that? With Corey Perry, he just finds ways to win. Or comes shockingly close. Right. Poor dude has lost in so many Stanley Cup finals since 2020. Like, it's insane. The Dallas run, the Montreal run to Tampa. Then he joins Tampa and they lose. Then he's on Edmonton. They lose to Florida. Like, there are 4 instances of this guy making it to the Stanley Cup finals in the back half of his career.
So
just not being able to do it. But he still is a winner.
So Corey Perry, his contract is up this season. I don't know if he's coming back. Maybe. Do you think Corey Perry is a Hall of Famer?
Oh,
because that
it's
he has 935 points in 1,392 NHL games.
got to get to 1,000 points. That's the way it goes. But
he has a lower point scoring rate in the playoffs. But only barely.
It's
like,
hard.
Only barely.
I think it's hard for me to judge who is a Hall of Famer and who isn't because I have such a limited scope of where my hockey limited, not scope of understanding, but like time period.
Right.
Like the time period in which I have a good understanding of this game stretches from honestly 2019 to now.
Right.
And I'll fully admit that I did not understand the game the way that I do now in that time period, and I just didn't. I was a very casual fan at the time.
Right. Right.
So I have a hard time with all the guys who've been inducted and the history of the Hall of Fame and understanding what qualifies as guys who should be in, like, aside from the obvious ones.
Right.
Where I have a hard time saying, yeah, he's a Hall of Famer. He's definitely in consideration, though, I would say. Like, you have to...
I mean, he's very close to me. But I mean, you look at his like raw point production. Like, he had one 50-goal season.
Okay, Hall of Famer. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, how many goals has he scored? Because
he's a ridiculous player.
He's at 450 goals in the regular season, plus another 59 in the playoffs. Like, I don't know. I feel like it maybe isn't something that happens immediately, but I mean, you look at what he actually has won. He's got a Stanley Cup. He has a Hart Trophy. He's got a Maurice Richard Trophy.
He's got 5 conference final trophies at the very least.
He's a triple Gold Club member.
Okay,
he won the Holinka.
Okay, he's getting.
He won the Holinka Gretzky Cup.
He's gonna get in the Hall of Fame then. Like that'll put him in the Hall of Fame.
And he's been to the Stanley Cup final like 4 times, 5 times.
Five at least 5.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5 times. Yeah, wild. Anyway,
and 4 of them are in the last 5-6 years.
Yeah, since the pandemic, since the last season before the pandemic. Sorry. Yeah,
pandemic
every year.
Season. Oh no,
yeah,
right.
Dallas. Yeah,
that was the
Montreal,
bubble. That was
Tampa.
the bubble.
Yes, the bubble season. Right. Anyway, what are we doing here? Right, Edmonton, Vegas. But I think to go back to the original point you made, that yeah, like watching Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, especially McDavid in this series, it's like when he's going, they're gonna win.
He made the second overall pick in that draft class look stupid.
Well, that's the thing. I think Jack Eichel's been good.
Yeah.
Like, he's their leading scorer. He's obviously an extremely talented player. I love Jack Eichel to death.
A prototypical AJ player, I will say. He's through
awesome.
Through.
And but McDavid, man, like, what do you do, right?
Nothing.
Like, I don't know.
Sit, you watch, and you go, oh,
pray.
Oh shit, he's got the puck. I'm cooked.
Hope Aiden Hill is the guy, and I think it'll come down to that, right? Like, Toronto, it might come down to how good Joseph Woll is in net for the next little while. For Edmonton, it might come down to how good Connor McDavid can be, because I think Vegas, I mean, possession-wise, Vegas hasn't had the overall advantage outside of the last game.
I'm actually curious, how much time, like, what's the time discrepancy rather, between the Oilers' top 2 lines and their bottom 6? Because I bet you it is something staggering.
Yeah.
Because I swear to God, when I've seen these games, it's first line, second line, maybe third line, but then, like, Connor McDavid just comes out and goes nuts. They do have decent depth on the Edmonton Oilers, but it's like, I don't think, even though like they're a really solid and great forward core, I don't think it's reliably enough with their deficiencies on the back end and in goal, where like they can still reliably roll all 4 of those lines, because you need the punch that is Connor McDavid, that injection of just what the because he's so good.
So the line matching, I mean, some of the games against Vegas, Vegas is using their depth a little bit more, but it's not that much different, honestly.
Oh, I mean between just the Oilers' top 2 lines and their bottom 6, like an internal thing as opposed
that's what I mean. Like, it's bigger than Vegas, but it's not actually that huge.
Okay.
McDavid played I mean, the game that went to overtime, he played 30 minutes.
Oh.
But Eichel played 29. Bouchard played 34 minutes that game.
Yeah, I hope all of those were in the offensive zone, but I know it wasn't.
Well, he made it count. They won.
They did.
But anyway, this is another one where I feel like I think I still lean Edmonton.
I
but
only lead Edmonton because they're ahead.
Yes,
If it's
just
tied,
like,
if it is tied going into game 5, I think I ever so slightly lean Vegas, but it's still on a knife's edge in terms of which way it could flip. Or like imagine a coin on the rolling part, like around like the circle, like the circumference of it, instead of being on a flat side. It's like that, and whatever, and the wind will blow some way and flip it on whichever side. It's stupidly close.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's anybody. I mean, the thing about the Oilers, I still think it's going to be them. But the thing about the Oilers is like their hopes are riding on a fewer amount of things. Whereas Vegas, I look up and down that roster and I go, they could chip away at Edmonton. Like,
do you mean win condition? Essentially,
yeah, like Stuart Skinner, if he's the guy in net, maybe he's gonna work out, maybe. But what if he doesn't? Right? How good does Connor McDavid have to be if he isn't? Right? They don't have Calvin Pickard. Is Oliver Rodrigue gonna come in? Like, I don't know, but that doesn't sound good to me.
When does Bob Stauffer get in that?
Exactly, yeah. And so, but then it's like, and I look at Vegas and I go, yeah, they don't have a Connor McDavid, and like Aiden Hill hasn't been amazing either, but I look at the depth of that team and I go, I probably trust more guys on Vegas
absolutely
to win. So it's like,
especially
I still think Edmonton has it, but they're on thinner ice, I think, than Vegas is, which, if that makes sense. Like, so I don't know what's going to happen, but I also just want to see Connor McDavid just be Connor McDavid as long as I possibly can, because
that guy has to win a cup.
What a gift to humanity.
He has to.
Yeah, what a guy.
And once he does, I'm going to just come out and say that he's the greatest player of all time, and I will drop the mic and not say anything else because it'll just be the truth. Yeah. I don't care. I don't care how much all the other people have won. This guy is and yes, he's got an insane sidekick in Leon Draisaitl, but Wayne Gretzky had Yari Curry and Mark Messier at times. Like,
if you put Connor McDavid with literally anybody in the league, they'll do better. Leon Draisaitl is an extraordinarily good player, but I do not think it's on the same level as McDavid.
It's not.
Like, I don't think it's the same effect, right? And that's why I look at Connor McDavid and be like, in the draft, before we get into questions, like that in the draft, like that's why I look at guys like Connor McDavid, because like those kinds of guys are rare. Like, no matter what team they are on, you put them on the ice, your team is going to be better.
And not everybody's going to be a surefire thing like him. But there are guys with potential,
that style, that effect on the game, right? Like that impact on the ice, right? It's not that Connor McDavid shoots the puck like Alex Ovechkin. It's not that he can, pass the puck in the offensive zone pretty much exclusively. That's not his style of play.
Honestly, like from a purely offensive tools perspective, like in terms of how cool, like how awesome their passing is and how good their shot is, Leon Draisaitl is actually better than Connor McDavid.
I could
in
see
terms
that,
of his offensive toolbox, like standing still. A lot of Connor McDavid's offense is generated through him blasting through space, like just getting into it really quickly, pulling guys out of position, and then just throwing it back to where he was to find somebody else in that space and put it in. Because it all happens so fast. You have to think so quickly about it. And Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers are already like, so much of their plays are built around him doing insane stuff, and then open space, bang. Open space, bang.
There's no possible way you could tell me that he is not one of the greatest of all time, right? Like, he's 28. He just turned 28, which makes me feel old as hell, but he just turned 28.
Let's go.
He has 5 Art Ross trophies. He has 3 Hart trophies.
He's got a Conn Smythe, probably.
He should have more. He's got a Conn Smythe trophy. I would argue he should have won the Calder, even though he got hurt in his rookie season.
He's Matthews better. He won the Calder. Matthews better.
Exactly. Yeah. Ted Lindsay Award. He's won it 4 times. So even the players are voting on this guy being the best in the league multiple times. Like, like, look, all respect to the city of Edmonton and everything for sure. You know, they have Connor McDavid,
And they
they've gone
have
to the
Leon
Stanley Cup final and
Draisaitl.
all that
Leon
stuff.
Draisaitl is a top 10 NHL player. Like,
Yeah,
Leon Draisaitl is Mikko Rantanen level player, all right? Just to, like, put it in perspective. He is
yeah,
that good. And honestly, he might be even a little bit better. Not in this playoff so far, but on the whole.
I just often sort of daydream, not often, but like sometimes I daydream about if Connor McDavid were on a team like Arizona or New Jersey or Philadelphia or Colorado, who all had top 10 picks in that year's draft, and they were in America, or he was in America, I should say. Like, obviously Edmonton and him being there, it's been a huge help for them. You know, it's been a huge boost to the visibility of hockey. And like Canada, he's a Canadian legend already. But like, and the NHL is in a better place than it's ever been, marketing and advertising and finance wise. Like, it's great.
And they're
right?
doing more to make it better as well.
They're doing more. But I do wonder, you know, I just think about it sometimes where I'm going,
in Nashville?
if Connor McDavid were, I don't even know about Nashville, but I mean like a place where, because America, I love Canada, I love it to death. I'm proud to be Canadian, but
And America
America sells.
sale.
But yeah, that's true. But America does one thing really well: sell things that are sellable. They know what sells.
The truest of capitalists.
Exactly. And Connor McDavid is a guy who sells the game better than I think anybody who has ever lived in their entire life. And the fact that he plays in Edmonton is great for Edmonton. It's great for Canada. I love that. I love watching him play. I have a McDavid jersey that I got in 2015. Like, I love this guy and I love what he's done with the Oilers. But it's just a weird thought of mine where it's like some of the best players in the league are in Canada, in Edmonton, Toronto, whatever. But like, I do wonder where the league would be if a team, you know, obviously Colorado has like McKinnon, which is great.
Yes.
And
Makar and Rantanen at one point.
Right. But like,
and Valeri Nichushkin. Let's not forget the guy Glaze.
But I'm talking like who the league sells.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
And like what markets rally around a guy, right? Like if the city of Philadelphia had Connor McDavid,
could be one of those guys too. Like if he wasn't always so hurt. But
like the Edmonton Oilers aren't really like a culture. They haven't really made themselves into like, in terms of sports, like a cultural touchstone. You know what I mean? Like you think about the 90s and like the Chicago Bulls. Obviously they won a bunch, or the Patriots of like the 2000s in football. It's like they had these eras where it's like they were culturally significant because of the names that drove that. Whereas like Edmonton, it just hasn't quite been there yet. But I mean, obviously they're amazing. They're an amazing group. And they're really good, and McDavid is one of the greatest,
but
if
you
not
know what?
the greatest.
To your point, what team has in the NHL, like, really? I think maybe the LA Kings with Wayne Gretzky did that a bit with the
Detroit in the 90s, definitely. Like those guys and all the Russians they had, like that, and I'd say the Mighty Ducks with Korea.
But I also think about, like, because Snoop Dogg's a big hockey fan, and I bet you a lot of it is because Wayne Gretzky was an LA King.
Yeah, totally. I believe it. I totally believe it.
There are 2 more franchises in California because of Wayne Gretzky.
Probably. Yeah.
That was the cultural impact that guy had.
Yeah. So that's,
would we have 2 teams in Arizona if Connor McDavid stuck around?
Yeah. We've got an NHL team in I don't even, where else is there in Arizona? Tucson. Maybe we've got a team in Flagstaff, you know.
No, it would just mainly be but it was more just a joke.
Yeah, no, I know. But I mean, it's like it is interesting.
The Coyotes have also played in a lot of markets. They've played in Scottsdale, they've played in Phoenix,
and now they're in Utah.
Tempe, but
Utah Mammoth. Here they are. But anyway, I don't know. Just a thought experiment I've had. But I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I love seeing McDavid in an Oilers jersey and seeing what he does for the Oilers. And I mean, no matter what jersey he wears, he's an unbelievable player. But that's it. But like, yeah, I think this all kind of comes down to the next couple of games that he has, the next couple of games Stuart Skinner has, and the rest. I don't know. I think I lead Vegas, but I think Edmonton still has the advantage because of that.
Even with the 2-1 lead. Because Edmonton's up. Okay. I think so. You still think Vegas is going to win?
No, I think Edmonton's going to win.
Okay.
But I'm saying like but that's because they have a guy like Connor McDavid, right? Like that gives them a pretty sizable advantage. It just if he has like a slow night, Stuart Skinner has a bad night, like then it gets like really murky really quick to me.
Mhm.
But as of right now, I still think the Oilers take it and go on. So you wanted to go
Yeah.
through
Who
what are we looking at here? So
final?
let me
Who's
pull
gonna
up
make the finals? Who's gonna win? And also, let's just quickly do the series as well.
yeah.
So Toronto,
Um
Florida, Eileen, Florida in 7 at this point. It's changed from my original prediction of Florida in 6. So you know what? All things considered, I'm happy that the Leafs have made me change my expectation for this series a little bit. What about you? It's okay to copy me. It's fine.
I think I agree. I think Florida in 7. Only I mean, the next game, I'm setting aside the fact that the next game is either Florida 3-2 or Toronto 3-2. The last half of last night's game to me was like Florida, I think, starting to gain a bit of a like physical edge advantage.
Even
Like I think
psychological too, to an
that's what I
extent.
mean. Like I think they're starting to wear
Rattle
them
them,
down a
yeah.
little and frustrate
Yep.
them and like because they were doing a really good job, not just with the dirty stuff, but like stymieing Toronto,
Yep.
right? Like locking them down. And I think that that's a tough thing. So even if Toronto wins the next game, like it gives them a huge advantage, obviously, but it depends how that game goes. But I think Florida in 7 makes sense. For Washington, Carolina, I think Carolina
Yep.
and in 6, maybe 7.
Yep.
But
That
6
6
I
is
would say.
exactly. We're in simpatico.
Yeah, Carolina in 6, and then you've got Carolina, Florida
Yeah, for the
for the conference final there.
we don't need to
And
necessarily answer that one because
yeah,
we'll
I
answer it
don't
with our
know.
finalists picks.
Yeah,
So Dallas,
uh,
Winnipeg.
Dallas, Winnipeg. Jesus, I don't know.
I can say then.
I'll say Winnipeg in 7.
Oh,
I think
okay. We
Winnipeg pulls it
differ.
off.
We differ.
I think Winnipeg pulls it off. I think Hellebuck is slowly starting to congeal. I have to hope that the greatest goaltender in the league continues to settle into what this and pulls it off. And also I like the guys on the Winnipeg Jets a lot. I mean, I like me watching Josh Morrissey do his thing, and Neil Pionk
Why
has
are you
been really
betting
good.
against
Like
Mikko Rantanen again? Why are you doing it? You're crazy. You're crazy.
yeah.
You're crazy.
Yeah.
Dallas in
probably.
6.
All right, Dallas in 6 it is.
And then the last series, Edmonton, Vegas. We just went over it.
Yeah.
I lean Edmonton in 7.
Yeah.
Just because
I say
they're
Edmonton
up.
7. I say Edmonton 7.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be easy.
The Stanley Cup Finals. Dallas, Florida for me. That's where I'm at. But you've already eliminated Dallas, so we're going to have a different finals.
God, an Edmonton Florida rematch would be so sick. Cuz last year was so good.
It was.
But I do want to see Dallas there. Dallas, Florida would be pretty good.
But
I
you
will
already
say.
eliminated them.
Right, that's true. Winnipeg. Okay, then Winnipeg. Winnipeg in the Stanley Cup final
You're out of your mind.
against. Hey,
Edmonton
send Logan Stanley out there and rip Connor McDavid's head off, and then you're good. You get to the Stanley Cup
with
final.
the correct 4 first letters. Okay.
Yep.
It should end at. It should. There should be a K instead of an LEY. You'd rather have Stankoven than Stanley. Okay.
Right. I mean, I will say though, like Florida, Carolina, I have a hard time picking Carolina, but I want them to win.
I want them to win too, but I have a hard time picking it.
I don't think it's likely, but God, I want it to be a thing so bad.
Yeah, I like the Atlantic side better than I like the Metro side. I think if the Leafs make it out, they should beat whatever Metro team. But it's okay. Yeah. Also, Xenome Project, don't worry about how much you're commenting. It drives engagements. I'm very happy that you're commenting this much. Comment more, please. Please. Yeah. It's good for us. Yeah. It really is.
Yeah, we don't care. Well, we do care, but like we don't care how much.
More is
also,
better.
Mikko Rantanen is shooting 28% in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, it's a little nuts, but also the rest of the Dallas team is getting healthier, right? Like,
yeah, that's true.
This is a gross.
Robertson's looked okay. Like they're coming. I want to see Winnipeg. I want to see the whiteout.
So who's
I just
winning?
want to
Who's
see
winning
them
the
go
finals
deep.
then? Now you're gonna pick Winnipeg, and you're gonna be stupid. Yeah,
I don't think they beat Florida.
I think Dallas wins. That's where I lean.
So you would take Dallas over Florida?
Yep. It's very
I would
close though.
say, oh man,
It's hard to win
Florida,
back-to-back years, especially when you've been there 3 years in a row.
The only way I can see Florida not sort of working their way to another final is if Toronto somehow, or Carolina for that matter, or whoever they play, finds some way to just tire them out, wear them out, but I don't know how that's doable. I don't know. I mean, obviously it's doable, but I don't know how likely that is especially considering like Winnipeg is having a hard road to the final. Like if they make it all the way, that's a hard road to the final. Dallas, they had a 7-game series and
against the team I picked to win the Stanley Cup.
Yes. And they might have another long series against Winnipeg. Edmonton, we'll see what happens with this series, but I don't know.
I think I did say though that the team that won the Colorado Dallas series was going to be was going to win the Stanley Cup, regardless of if it was Colorado or Dallas. So I'm sticking with that prediction, even though I was wrong about which team would, because dude, those two teams like that could have been a conference final matchup, and to me that would have been great. But we got it in the first round, and at some level, it's better that we got it in the first round because that was when both teams were at their best.
Yep.
All right, then.
Yeah, let's get to questions. Let's do the last bit of the show here.
The homer and me, Leafs for Cup. Leafs are going to win the rest of the games that they play.
Got it.
Won't actually happen, though. All right, Q&A. Right. We're a little deep into it, but that's all right.
QA. Yeah, we'll get her done. What are your thoughts on Jacob Brombach? How does he compare to the plethora of other huge defensemen projected to go 25th or later? He's fine. He's big and safe and rangy.
The Rhombus, is that what his nickname is?
Yeah, the Rhombus. Yeah, the Rhombus is. Whenever I track him, whenever I do games of him, I've done I think 3 at this point or 4. I think 3, and I've watched him as well, like a couple of games of his over the course of the season, and he's just like boring. Like I feel like he's a guy who like you watch Nico Mikkola play for the Florida Panthers, and it's like there are moments where you're like, yep. I could see he's a pretty good skater for a big guy. I could see the role that he plays, and sure, I guess you could find a role for a guy like that. But am I drafting Nico Mikkola like in the second round or something when he's 17? Probably not. Right. So for me, it's like I think you just draft what you find exciting in the draft, and you look for safety elsewhere. But
in free agency, those are like that's the other thing. You had players like that in free agency or in trades.
Like Rombach strikes me as a guy a team is going to draft like 39th overall, and he'll go before a lot of guys where I'm going, this other player is objectively better. He'll stay in college. He'll go to the AHL. And when he's like 24, play on your bottom pair and be a guy.
And then when he's 28 and your team sucks, you'll trade him for a first round pick. So maybe it is a good investment.
Maybe you do draft him. Yeah, maybe it is. What are your thoughts on Muka Madulin now? Obviously still a work in progress, but his high time on ice and quality of competition, he put up good defensive numbers. Still has turnovers and is learning, but he's been impressive, at least compared to your draft year expectations. Well, that's Muka Madulin has turned out to be, I guess, fine. But
we should take a watch of him before the season.
Yeah, I watched a couple of games this year of him because I know obviously playing him a lot and on the Sharks and whatever, but he's being played a lot, but on the worst team in the league. And it's like the same kind of thing with Blackhawks fans and Alex Vlasic. It's like you're giving up a lot of goals, and his defensive numbers are okay, but the thing about him is he in very small pockets of the game, he uses his size and length really well. And it's also it's been 6 years since he got drafted, 5 years. He's 23, I think, turning 24. So he's kind of already at the tail end of physical development and where he might sort of be. And obviously it's another one where you kind of look at it and go, yeah, if you draft a big, tall, lanky defenseman who can skate pretty well, everything else just does not matter if you put in the hours and have good development and have this and this and this. It's fair enough. And what year was he drafted? Was it 2020?
2020.
I think.
It was 2020. That was the first year I
Yeah,
started following your channel,
right,
and
right.
I
That was the
remember you talking about him
yeah,
in definitely glowing terms. Definitely
yeah,
glowing.
exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's just like it's a matter of like relative to a Marat who's Nadinov, who was ranked like super high for me that year. Like I love Marat, even though he doesn't have like the points. Um, he's a guy who I really have loved watching play in the NHL. And like Muga Madulin, like again, it's that whole thing of draft. If that's what you want to do, you can do it. Personally, I look at a player when they're 17 and watch how they play, and I go, well, what like how much work is there to do with this guy if I'm drafting you top 20, right? It's and so I don't know, like you you traded Timo Meyer and he was kind of like the centerpiece. So is that looking back on it worthwhile, right? Like I don't think he's a top pair defenseman indefinitely. Like I don't think that's what his job is going to be for San Jose in 5 years. Like I just don't think that. And I think he's okay and does things fine, but like that anyway. I've seen him a little bit here and there this year. He's definitely more well refined than he was, for sure, which you would hope considering it's been so many years. But like, yeah, like he's been given it's another thing to also be on the Sharks where look at who's playing defense for that team. Like if he wasn't on the NHL roster a lot with a defense group like that, that's a problem, right? Like for a first round draft pick. Like they have very little in the way of projectable long-term solutions at defense, right? They just don't. So yeah, like he has an opportunity to play minutes and play a lot of minutes. And yeah, if you think he's been fine, then he's been fine. I just wonder what he's gonna do when that team is hopefully a playoff quality team in the next couple of seasons, right? Like if he plays 20 minutes a night, he's going to get plenty of practice, right? And that's a benefit of being a team like San Jose. You can take guys like that and play them lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots with the NHL, and ideally they get more and more comfortable there and find something that works on a night by night basis. So who knows? Um, I've been watching Caleb Denoyer. He's a solid player. I don't see a top 5 pick like most have him. He reminds me of Antoine Vermette. What do you think about that comparison? I mean, I don't remember Antoine Vermette that much. I don't really remember paying attention to him that much, but
Remember his name. That I do.
I do remember his name. I remember watching him play, but I don't
He's in
have enough
Ottawa,
of like a
right?
knowledge of. Yeah, I think he was in Ottawa and Philadelphia, a couple of other. Anyway, largely Ottawa,
Yeah.
but I don't have enough of a knowledge of like what it is that he does that I could. But I look, Caleb Denoyer is scoring a lot in the playoffs. Yes. And so the other day, I went and watched one of his playoff games, and then I've watched isolated clips of him in various parts of the game uh, through the video services that I have access to. And he's look, it's really hard for me now at this point in the season, to be perfectly honest, because like I've seen these guys so many times, and it's been like a month of rewatching these guys. Outside of like the U18s definitely shifted some things for me. And in the recent weeks, there's definitely been some things where I watch players and I watch players that I have ranked behind them, and I go, these guys behind them, I think I like better than this guy. There's a bit of that going on. But in terms of like what a player brings to the game, I'm not really learning much anymore. Like I kind of know. And maybe I'm too hasty, but I watch Caleb Denoyer and I go, I've seen him do this before. 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 Like I've been very, very, very clear about what he is all year and why I'm not a super high end valuation on him. Where it's like once the puck is in the offensive zone, I trust him to produce, and I can see it happen in the NHL, right? He's very smart passing the puck. He is very good at reading opposing systems and adapting to it. And he's got some really good skill. Like he'll find a way to put the puck between feet and between legs and all kinds of fun stuff that I've seen gifts of it. He's doing it in the playoffs, right? But I'm not like I want a hockey player, right? Like I'm looking for a player who plays and drives results in both areas, especially if we're talking top 5 pick. And I don't see that in him. I just don't. Like it's almost a meme now. Like in the Discord server, it is a meme. Like it's a joke now because I just continuously am refusing to bend the knee to people having him as high as third on their list, right? It's like he'll play. I feel like it would be very difficult for me to look at him and go, he's not going to be an NHL player. Like he's at 16 or 17 on my list right now, but that's as high as he's ever been. But like that's because I could see him play some kind of an NHL role, third line center, maybe a decent second line center, offensive leaning guy. I just don't. Oh, I just
Bless
don't
you.
I just don't 100% trust just how high everybody is on him. But similar to a guy like Muka Madulin, right? If you put that guy in the NHL and he plays on a team that can afford to be bad, and he plays 18 minutes, like if he's on the Bruins, for example, next season somehow, and he's their third line center, and he plays 18 minutes a night, and they don't care if they lose every game 10-0, then I could see him developing quite a lot very quickly. And like maybe I look wrong, right? But that's very contextual, right? Like that just very much depends. Whereas I look at him and I agree. Like I think that a high-end NHL player, I don't know if I see that. That said, in a given NHL draft, there aren't very many high-end NHL players that come out of it usually. There are some, a handful, but coming out and saying that this guy that goes 8th overall turns out to be a third line center or a second line winger, it's not heresy. That's reasonable, because being a first line or second line forward in the NHL is really hard. It's really hard.
Incredibly difficult.
If you had first overall pick in a 32 team dynasty league, who are you taking? Having a
Between
tough
the
time
two?
between Misa and Schaefer.
I think you got to go
Probably
Schaefer because it's harder to
Really?
find. Well, maybe it's harder to find
productive
defensemen.
defenseman.
It's
Yeah,
harder to
productive
find productive
defenseman.
defensemen. But
That's
like,
true.
it's also about what do you like? It's just really tough. Like, Misa might get you more points ultimately, but it's also hard to find productive defensemen. So, what's more
Yep.
valuable to you? I don't think there's a wrong answer between the two guys. They're both going to get a
No,
ton of opportunity.
I think I agree with you though. Like I think Matthew Schaefer will be a productive NHL defenseman. Like I see a guy like Dougie Hamilton there, where I think he'll score 70 points. You put him on a power
I
play.
do think Misa,
and
if you
that's
want to be
rare.
super safe and make sure that the pick definitely
Yes.
works out, then you
Yes.
take Misa. Like if you're in a position to be a little
Yeah.
more risky, then you can
Yeah.
like honestly, there might even be a case to go to the person who is second overall and say, "Hey, do you want this pick?" and then get like some more assets with it because I think ultimately
Yeah.
between those two guys, there's not like you probably do get more points out of Misa from a purely fantasy perspective
Yeah.
side
At
of
the end of his
things.
career, yeah, probably.
But maybe you get Schaefer plus, or you just or you leave Schaefer for the guy ahead of you, and then you get Misa and still get a more productive player.
Or you trade the pick for what someone overvalues that first overall pick for.
It's true too.
Like, you may just find someone who really, really wants to pick first overall and will move heaven and earth to do it.
If you
and
really need a
go,
defenseman,
okay.
though, go for it. Take Schaefer.
Yeah.
If you want to be safer and definitely hit like a really good point production total, I think you go Misa. But it's really a
Yeah.
coin flip, and it's just tough. That one's a really, really tough one for me between who I would take. So there is pros and cons to both. If you really need a defenseman, go Schaefer for sure, because it is harder to find those guys. Or maybe move down, but like, yeah, it's hard to answer that question. I
Yeah.
think gut
It's
pick.
a tough year. This draft is a tough one.
I've been burned by defensemen, even though I've won my leagues. Like Roman Yossi burns me, and then the next year helps me immensely, generally. So there's part of me that's like, fade defenseman. But there's also that guy that still exists in me that's like, yeah, but it's so hard to get players that are like Matthew Schaefer.
Right.
So go Matthew Schaefer, but it's really, really tough.
Yeah.
If you're gonna pick first.
Okay. Yes, I agree. Now that I look at the Canes roster, they are very trade heavy, very trade and free agent heavy. Yes, but the drafting is what gives them the ability to do a lot of trades too.
Definitely.
But yes, Kochakov was the guy they drafted. Smith versus Hensler versus Aitchison and Mertka. In order, what will they go and who should be? I don't know if that's the end of the. Okay. Well, I mean, of all of those guys, I think Mertka is going first. then probably Aitchison, then probably Smith or Hensler. I don't know. I would put it in the order of Smith or Hensler, Mertka if you really wanted him, and then Aitchison last. But yeah, I think it'll go almost the opposite direction. I've really liked Logan Hensler. I've actually gone back and watched some guys who haven't played in the last couple of months, like him. I went and watched Carter Amico the other day, who hasn't played in months, just to reset a little bit from the guys that have played recently and see what else is going on there. And like Jackson Smith at the U18s wasn't amazing. Mertka was fine. But like neither of those guys were really like, oh, I missed something with these guys. Hensler, I think, got a lot better as the year went on. And so Hensler's a guy who I would think might be a little undervalued. Like he's in the mid early teens for me now, just because other guys have just taken a hit and he's always kind of stuck around. And I think there's something to build on with him. But yeah, I think of those guys, Mertka probably goes first. Like he's a right-hand shot, 6'6", pretty good skater. Like if you really wanted him, I would probably buckle and just say okay. But I think you're still saying no to some good players that aren't defensemen. Like if a Victor Eklund is who you're saying no to, I would probably put up a decent fight, or like a Porter Martone. I watched Porter Martone at the World Championships yesterday. He's looking pretty good at that level, which is not easy to do. Actually, was it actually a game, or was it one of the warm-up games? Because I'm not sure if he's actually playing in the actual tournament, but I know he's on the roster. Oh, he has played. He got a goal. Okay, good. He scored a goal. They're good for him. But yeah, so that would be a really tough sell for me. But I imagine he'll be the first one gone. How do you feel about the EU5 trailer, AJ?
I actually haven't seen it, but
all right.
I will. You know what? I will get back to you on that for next week, or sorry, for Thursday. I'll watch it.
All right, got it.
I'm more focused on getting all the achievements in EU4 before buying EU5.
Yeah, playing the long game.
I'm about 38% of the way through, actually, which is not bad.
That's not bad.
It's not bad.
Sure there's a lot of achievements.
There's a lot of really tough, dude. There's 337 of them.
Good luck.
I've got about 140, but I've done that all in the last 3-4 months.
Yeah,
for the most part, other than like the really easy ones, like Royal Marry somebody. Yeah, you could do that on day one of your first Iron Man campaign. But I'll get back to you on that one, because I know you're an EU4 and Paradox fan based on all the comments that this specific user gives. So I'm a big fan of you, man. I'm a big fan of you. So I'll do it just for you.
All right. A crazy stat from the OHL playoffs. Luca Morelli has 33 points, tied with Ryan Ellis and Jamie Rivers for the second most for a defenseman in a single playoff. Pronger is one. Yeah, Luca Morelli's been on a rocket ship this season. I didn't really see this out of him, to be perfectly honest, last year. I don't know what happened. I don't know what he's putting in his mini wheats or something, but he's cooking. And
hopefully not what Aaron Ekblad was.
Yeah, true. Sorry. But that's also a really good team. Like Oshawa's a really well-built team. They've got a pretty deep group of like real high octane offensive guys. London is tough competition for them. But I'd say that they are a really good team that made it through for the right to play London, who had not lost a game going into the finals, which is pretty amazing. Yeah, so where are we here? Yes, I agree. You know, the very best teams tend to draft and trade in an elite level. It just gives you a better you're giving yourself a better hand of cards when you do that kind of thing. Flexibility is what makes good NHL teams great, in my opinion. And the UFA, like you said, UFAs make you less flexible almost always. Bear injury, surgery, recovery. So I don't know anything specifically about his recovery process or anything. Obviously tearing your Achilles tendon is a bad thing, but from a biomechanical perspective, you don't use your ankles in hockey all that much, so it doesn't concern me as much as if we were talking about like volleyball or soccer or basketball. Like if that were the injury, then that would be a lot more concerning. But your ankle is locked in place, and it was because of a skate cut, I believe, that his tendon was ruptured. So I don't know how much I would really concern myself about it. I mean, Carter Bear as a player, I think, has a bit of concerns about him, but I still love him. And if he's a guy that slips and he goes like 26th overall and you're a contending team, I think that's a really good bet to take. And you just hope that he stays healthy. Like the thing about hockey is it's way more common to get a high ankle sprain, which is like the tissue between your leg bones, like your lower, you have a tibia and fibula. It's like the tissue between, or fascia, I should say, between your bones getting twisted and like rupturing or tearing or, whatever, or it like fractures one of your bones because of whatever. That's way more common with hockey players than Achilles stuff. But I mean, obviously, it is a bit of a concern, and you'd have to do your homework on that. But compared to like a Roger McQueen back thing, or if someone had blown out their knee or something, and even a knee injury like that, like it's not. It's these days, it's like not the end of the world. It's kind of like in baseball, like Tommy John injuries, like yeah, you miss a year and it sucks. Like you might not be the same pitcher again, but you can still come back and like pitch. And a lot of guys have done it and come back pretty good. And with knee injuries and stuff in hockey, like guys have busted up. Like Connor McDavid busted his leg and busted his knee, and he seems okay. Steven Stamkos, same thing. Like all kinds of stuff like that has occurred. Liam Danielson, fun player. Not sure he's an NHLer. I like Liam Danielson. I was actually watching him last night, so it's funny you mention him. I was watching Teddy Hulkfist in Örebro, but Danielson was playing and he looked pretty fun. But I don't know, like it's kind of like a Joel Jonsson vibe where it's like good junior player. I could see him being an okay guy in the second division, maybe in Sweden, maybe first division if he gets a good opportunity. But a little small, plays a little small, doesn't really have that like elite skill and separation ability that I think guys like him need. I'm wondering if the Islanders go with a forward at first overall. They have a significant amount of defensive talent in their mid 20s and not a lot of forwards outside of Holmstrom and Ritchie. I mean, if I'm the Islanders, I don't have very much at all in terms of young players to play with anyway. Like, I don't think you draft based on what your team looks like now. You may be right. Like, I think there's a perfectly logical argument to be made to not go with Matthew Schaefer at first overall. But I mean, I went back and watched him in this process of like watching guys who haven't played in a while. I don't know. I feel like that's a guy that you really want to have. I mean, Michael Misa's excellent too, and I would probably consider him the most over Schaefer. But
I think there is no wrong option between the two.
I don't think there's a wrong. Yeah, I'm not super concerned about Alex Romanov in the context of drafting Schaefer, and like Dobson's very good. Dobson's great, but like it's like San Jose with Dickinson, right? It's like Dickinson's one guy, and they could use more defensemen there. I mean, if you draft,
I don't think Dickinson's as good as Dobson.
Well, that's the thing. Well, but what I'm saying is, like in San Jose, it's like you can't if you put all your eggs on Dickinson, okay. But if you add Schaefer to that, you now have two really fun things to play with. So it doesn't. I don't really think about position that much. Really, at the end of the day, it just gives you more flexibility. And with the Islanders,
they have need through free agency. That's yes. Always need is you solve through trade and free agency.
Yeah. I look at Schaefer and I go, I feel like he's got the offensive tools, the swagger, the pace of play, the smarts. If you want Misa, you could take Misa, sure. But for me, I think Schaefer makes a lot of sense.
It does set up your 1-2 punch for a long time.
Yeah, and I would want and hey, I him in an environment where Dobson has been there and been around the block and been a really good offensive defenseman for them. That's a pretty good environment to learn how to play in the
Islanders,
NHL.
If they take the correct steps, could overhaul this team and be really good in 2-3 years.
Pretty good, yeah.
No, like a really good team in 2-3 years. If they just say, all right, old fellas, thank you for your service, but we gotta move on a bit here and get to and bring in some of these younger guys. Like,
and like
they have money to play around with a little bit later. And you like Cal Ritchie? Go ahead.
I like Ritchie. I don't know if Holmstrom is like that much of an impact guy for them. And like Yzerman, I'm not sure he's like a world ender either. But like,
I don't think player though.
I don't think that makes Michael Misa the guy, right? Like, I think based on everything, I think with Schaefer, I don't think you go wrong. But
like put Yzerman next to Matt Barzal and see what happens. Like with the speed that Barzal brings and all the like just his ability to create space when he gets to play at a faster pace and do his thing.
Sure.
Like, I feel like that's a good fit for
Yep.
Cole Yzerman.
But I mean, the next comment: if Misa Schaefer go 1-2, I would not be surprised. I don't know. I don't really know, and I don't really care. Honestly, I don't know.
I feel like in a draft that's going to be where there's going to be a lot of uncertainty, I feel pretty confident that Schaefer Misa being the first 2 picks is. I'm pretty confident in that, like relative to everything else. Like I have a 75% confidence in that occurring. That Islanders take Schaefer, Sharks take Misa. And then at 3, I have no, excuse my language, fucking idea what's going to happen beyond that.
Right. Yeah, okay. Thoughts on Maddox Labre?
Cool name. Never heard of him, though.
Yeah, he is on Shawinigan.
That's where all the cool name guys come from. Maverick
Yeah,
Bork,
it is.
another cool name guy.
Victoriaville, sorry. He's on the other yellow and black team, Victoriaville. Yeah, I mean, I took a look at this guy earlier in the year, and I didn't really see much there, honestly. Like, he's one of those guys where I'm not exactly sure. Like, he's got a bit of skill to him from what I recall, but he's not a guy that I think I'm like, like, go get him. I don't know. I don't know. He's just like fine. I mean, there's a like, I don't know. I didn't really come away going like this guy's going to be on my list. But I probably should take another look because there is a bit of chatter about him. Which players in recent drafts would be more likely to become a superstar? Well, I mean, Connor Bedard, you would hope. I mean, I was in Columbus. Adam Fantilli's pretty good. I mean, he's not scoring like a superstar yet, but
he's got more goals than the guy that you're saying could be a superstar.
He's exciting to watch.
Therefore, he has to be
really exciting to watch. But yes, he has more goals than Connor Bedard so far, so therefore he's automatically better.
Dude, Adam Fantilli, the actual perfect encapsulation of an AJ boy. All right, like the perfect AJ player. All right.
Oh. We need to make this clear. He's better goals per game than Connor Bedard. He's played 19 fewer games, but trails in goals by 2. So that's important to remember.
He'll definitely be ahead of him in terms of like goals per game still.
Exactly. Connor Bedard is done. He's toast. I mean, Macklin Celebrini
like Connor's bedhead.
Like Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith are having a bit of a very public bromance, which is going quite viral on the internet, which I love. Those two guys
who's got a public bromance?
Celebrini and Will Smith.
That's awesome.
Funny. Yeah, those two guys seem to love each other.
It pales in comparison to mine and Lyndon Lakovic's bromance.
Yeah, of course, right. Everybody knows about that. Yeah. But I mean, Demidov, I'd say, certainly has superstar upside. There's a part of me that could see Zane Parekh be quite a character in the NHL.
He's Evan Bouchard potentially.
Like, but I mean, like personality wise and like swagger wise, like marketable guy. I could see that. Trying to think of other ones. Logan Cooley, I think, has a ton of that sellability in his game.
Logan Cooley is just awesome. That guy I could totally see being that for sure. He is. Dude, he sold his cousin on him so much and Tony finally sent me the interview. Okay, guys, I'm putting it together starting hopefully tomorrow. Okay, I promise. I'm a hardworking guy, okay? I sprained my ankle. Please feel sympathy for me and realize that I do want to do it. I'm just lazy, okay? Please.
We'll get there.
LJ Mooney will be out at some point soon, and yes, he is Logan Cooley's cousin, all right?
Really? You never mentioned that before.
And his name means Little John. Or isn't Little John, actually.
Isn't Little John a character from Peter Pan?
I have no clue.
Little John, or am I thinking... I don't know. Anyway.
But his dad's Big John, so he's Little John.
Yeah, he is. Big John.
At least I think.
Toronto deserves 2 NHL teams, but the Leafs have a historical monopoly. I agree.
No.
I know AJ doesn't, but yes, they do.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No. Why? Why put another team in Toronto? No.
Because it would be, dude, imagine the rivalry.
No. I don't want that. This is a one city team. Or a whatever. You know what I mean if I said that wrong.
Look, I'm a capitalist. It would sell.
No, I don't care. I hate it. Why split the fan
Well,
base? Like,
I mean,
there's no
regardless, it's
point.
never going to happen.
We
Why split the fan base? It would be like insane. It would be insane.
It'd be
Like,
stupid.
oh, you
Also,
you're just
no, and I also saw
naive.
later that it's like it'd be more affordable. No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. Nothing in Toronto is affordable. They would charge astronomical rates too.
It would depend on. I mean, I don't know.
It would be more affordable, sure, but they'd still charge astronomical rates to go see it because Torontonians would. Is the problem. But like, I just hate it. I hate it. I want to grow the game. I don't want another team in my city, okay? I like the idea that the Leafs are the only team in Toronto, okay? That they're in the running for being the most financially like valuable team, and another team in Toronto would completely shoot that idea.
So
I
you
need my
want- so you
elitism,
want-
okay? My
you
elitism.
just want the Leafs to be the only team because you're a Leaf fan.
Yeah, and
That's what it
I'm an
sounds like.
elitist Leaf fan, all right? That's what it is. But I also
But-
want it because I don't want a team slot being wasted on a market that already has such a massive fan base. I don't want another one. I think the fan base already if you don't like the Toronto Maple Leafs and you live in Toronto, you support another team. You don't need another team in Toronto to accomplish that goal when you can put another team somewhere else and create new fans.
Right, but it would make a shitload of money.
Yeah, but I don't but would it? It would make.
I think so.
It would make a great a crap ton of money for that team. But does it change how many fans there are in the league as a result of another team being put in Toronto? No, you're just capitalizing off of an existing market that already has a team and a lot of fans of the sport. My biggest argument against it, more than anything, is that I want this sport to grow, and in order to do that, you should put teams in places that have growth potential. Like I know Arizona did not work the first time, but they were saddled with terrible owners all the way through, essentially, that did not sell the game of hockey particularly well. Arizona would be a great market to go to if you want to put another team in Canada, go to Quebec City. But I refuse to listen to the idea of another Toronto team.
I don't think Quebec City is that good of a
I don't think any other city in Canada is a good idea for a market. I don't. Like Winnipeg was just put there. Like they got a team because they were the only place that could at the time. They were the only place that could actually handle one. Like to me, you focus on the United States. Yeah, are there more teams in the United States? Obviously, there's more markets that matter. There's no point of putting another team in Toronto.
Look, I think there is a point. You can disagree. That's allowed. But
yeah, for all the Doomer Leafs fans that want another team to support. Yeah, sure.
Oh no, the New York Yankees, whatever shall we do? And the New York Mets are in town. Like, oh goodness heavens.
I am not a fan of places having two teams. That's just my own personal opinion. But I don't like there are places that do. Like even in the NHL. New York City basically has three when you think about it, because the Devils are not that far away. But at least they're in New Jersey.
Well, okay, fair enough.
I just don't. I hate the idea. I'm sorry. I vehemently disagree with the idea.
It makes sense why you hate the idea. You're a Leaf fan. You don't want the Leafs to have challengers. I get it. By default, you want them to be the team. Like, I get it.
It's not just that.
If Toronto
that was more of it. Look, that was more. It is part of the answer, but it is not as important as I was making it out to be at the start of the argument. The real argument is when the NHL expands, because it's going to again, even though I actually am not a fan of it going beyond 32 teams, just because of my sanity for
you're growing up, man. I can hear it happening right now. You're becoming an adult.
No, it's not like that. It's because I like the way the current system is, where there's 16 teams that make, 16 teams that miss, 8 teams per division. I like that. I like the way it structures, but I've also come around to the idea that play-ins would be awesome. So fine, 36, 40, whatever. Like they're going to keep expanding. Put those teams in the U.S. Put them in markets that in some cases haven't worked before but have a big population base that could support a team, like Atlanta, like Arizona again. Houston is a place I'd like to see a team in. Like that's I don't think Canada needs another hockey team, especially Toronto. There's a population base to support it, but why? Also, it's never going to happen.
Because
the Leafs are going to block it.
A ton of money.
But money that you already are getting.
No, false. No, if you have another team that sells another batch of 18,000 tickets 41 times,
that's fair. But still, I don't like it. I don't like it.
Okay, all right.
I don't like it.
Look, you know what? Like, if you want to put the legwork in, if you want to put the legwork in to try to sell Houston, Texas on hockey, by all means, try.
Grow it. We gotta grow the game. Not.
It is not easy. Like, unless the team is extremely good right from the get-go. We'll see. I don't know, but I mean, I don't know.
It won't ever happen because the Leafs will
it's never
block
going to happen.
And the Leafs can block it from happening essentially. But
yeah, it's never going to happen. I mean, I don't like the idea, personally. Here's what I say. Here's what I think could be possible though. Instead of Toronto, they do put another team, and this is more a thing about Canada and like the GTA in general. They would need a place to grow, like Hamilton.
Yeah, it would have to be in Hamilton.
Hamilton. If anyone's unaware, Hamilton is one of the biggest cities that is not in the GTA. Like, I don't consider it Toronto. It is just on, like, it's the next city, but it is like with a car nowadays, it's like an hour and a half drive. But as the crow flies, it is pretty close.
Yep.
But it is not
Toronto's
Toronto.
Sphere of influence is what I would.
But it is not Toronto. But I would say that the problem is that, number one, Hamilton can't get its act together with how to build a functional city for a large population. They're getting better at it, but like, my God, I remember living there, and it's a lot better than it was, but they have so much potential there. Like, there are so many
home to
cool
Sam
little
Gilligan,
areas.
Our boy.
Yeah, there are so many cool little pockets of areas. There's so many little like neighborhoods and there's old steel worker money there that left in 2008, and they're still trying to figure out how to recover from there. And pockets of it are getting better, but like, I'd say as more and more people look at Toronto and go, there's no possible way I could afford to live there. So I'm going to move to Hamilton, because Hamilton, like, if Hamilton becomes slightly more desirable than it already is, and I think it is relatively desirable based on my experience being in that area, then you start to get more growth there. And where I live is just outside of Hamilton. So it's like, if it was easy for me to commute into Hamilton, which right now it isn't, which is crazy to me. I live maybe 20 minutes away from Hamilton in the car, but I can't really commute there unless I specifically go at certain times of the day. Like, it's not that easy. So if they can make it such that it's a more desirable place to live and there's more activity in that area of the province, it does, but the trains don't run all the time.
Well, that's like, stupid.
You have to take a bus.
What?
So you take the train, get off the train, hop on not all the time. There's more trains going into the city now than there were. But the problem is that the problem is that Metrolinx, and this is why I'm also kind of a big government guy. Metrolinx, which is a public-private partnership with the Ontario government, owns the tracks out until, I believe it's Aldershot GO Station, which is like a suburb of Hamilton, maybe 15 minutes out of the city. Beyond that, the train tracks are owned by the federal government, Canadian National Rail. And there's no agreement really, like there is now for they get certain times of the day where they're allowed to run GO trains into Hamilton from there. But because freight is more economically productive than passenger trains from Toronto to Hamilton, they prefer very strongly to have freight running down those tracks, coming up from St. Catharines, coming in from like London and whatever. So transit around the GTA as far as Hamilton is still a big work in progress. Like, they have train stations, but like, it's only very, very recent that now you can take the GO train all the way in from St. Catharines, but I think it only comes and goes like twice a day, 3 times a day. So you're kind of screwed.
You know what it
So if
sounds
they
like
can-
to me? With you liking government and wanting it to control the train tracks or whatever. Sounding kind of like a communist over here, Will. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, I am a fan of nationalized infrastructure.
No, that's
as long
fair.
as there
That's
are
fair.
as long as private corporations can lease that infrastructure and not buy it
I'm just being a
outright,
smart
I'm
ass.
all
It's
for
okay.
it. Oh, I know you are. I'm just saying.
Communist.
So if that were the case and Hamilton had like a bit more population growth, a little bit more desirability to live there, I don't think it's that far off. And a lot easier for people to get in and out of the city, and like transit were better there. They don't have streetcars, they don't have a subway, they just have buses.
Well, they don't. No place should have streetcars. Let's be real.
Well, they're trying to build a tram. Like they have the room for it. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's also way cheaper than building a subway. But anyway,
just have buses as opposed to like.
Yeah, but like think about it from like the layman's perspective. Oh, I'm going to the hockey game, I got to get on the bus. Like I don't want people to have to drive if you have a game in Hamilton in the city. Like that makes no sense. And I feel like sports teams should be in the city and not like wherever the land is cheap. I don't think that's. I think it makes it way harder.
You don't like that.
The Canadian Tire Center was a mess. I cannot believe that place exists. It's crazy.
Is it like super packed getting out to it? It's like
yes.
Yeah, you know what that reminds me of? Going to Highmark Stadium where the Buffalo Bills play in Orchard Park. It is all residential area. People literally rent out their not even just their driveways, their lawns for you to park on, and it is such a mess getting out of there. It's insane.
Yeah. Look, I am a very, very big proponent of. I think we should have tribunals to try, the story of how there was a pope a few hundred years ago who dug up a previous pope and put him on trial.
What?
And yeah, that's the thing. He dug up a pope, put him on trial, and like berated him in front of people, and then banished him essentially, and then reburied him. But like took away basically tried to wipe him from the history books as a pope.
Why but digging him up does not do that, because now you remember him, Will.
Well, I know, but this is like 1300s we're talking about here. I don't know. I didn't do it. But the point is, I want to take all of the people who are responsible for making North America so car focused and car obsessed.
Oh, and dig them up and put them on trial.
Dig them up, put them on trial, have a tribunal, banish them for all eternity to the farthest suburb out in the middle of nowhere, and see how they
send
like
them all
it.
To Alaska.
Sure, whatever. I don't care. Fort Rankin Inlet, like send them to Nunavut. I don't care. But it blows my mind how we've done this, and it just makes it so much more difficult to just have like people move around. And also, I had to drive in and out of Toronto over the course of the last few days, a few times over the last week.
Sounds horrible.
It is so bad. It is so bad now. It is like literally if I were to leave my house, I think it's around 40 minutes to door to go to Union Station in a car.
Yeah.
Now I cannot rely on that. There is never not traffic. So it's so bad. It's so bad now. I
said at the beginning of the stream, and for those who weren't there, I finished an 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. shift on Sunday morning, okay? I went outside to catch my bus, and I saw 4 buses, all in, like, 3 of them passed my stop, but, like, 4 car, like, one was a car length past the stop.
Yeah.
Another one, 3 other car lengths, and then another one, 2 car lengths past the stop, because it just jammed up. And I said, screw it, I'm walking most of the way to Ossington, and I caught that bus that the first bus of that thing.
I love when that happens. Yeah.
10 blocks.
Like, there's no point.
10 blocks down the line.
Having a bus.
10 blocks. Okay? Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's bad.
You can make that drive, and I've seen them do it in 6 minutes. When I did it, when I sat on the bus on Saturday morning, it took 40 minutes.
Yep.
40 minutes.
Hey, say what you will about Doug Ford, but the best thing he has done for this province is strong-armed the city of Toronto into building a subway line across the entire city through downtown. It sucks for traffic now. Like, it's terrible down there now for the construction and stuff. But once it is done, Toronto needs another 2 or 3 subway lines probably, but like once it's done, whenever that happens, that's something that they've needed since I was a child.
Hey, but you know what it does not need?
I'm scared of what you're about to say.
You shouldn't be. Another hockey team. Now let's move on.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's move on. Brady Martin top 10. I mean, it's going to happen. I wouldn't do it. How far could you see Hagen's realistically falling?
Nashville, maybe
farther than
6?
he should. Yeah, maybe Nashville. If he fell to Nashville, he'll be sick.
I feel like that's the cutoff point, though.
Yeah, probably. Who was a prospect that had an ugly skating stride but was surprisingly fast? Quinton Byfield, 100%. Yeah, Quinton Byfield for sure. Maybe Cole Perfetti might be another example. Yeah. Yeah, something like that. What do you think? Question mark. I don't. I never think. Rank your top-rated defenseman in each draft year from 2020 to 2025. Oh my goodness.
You had what? It was either Sanderson or Drysdale.
I had Drysdale in 2020. And I mean, I really hope he figures it out because he's
excellent. It's just he gets hurt a lot.
Yeah, like if he can just stay stable,
player. He really is.
Yeah, I think Hughes was my top ranked defenseman in 2021.
Yes, he was.
2022 would have been
not Lane Hudson because
Jiricek.
Yeah, or did you have Nemeth higher?
I think it was Jiricek.
Okay.
2023 was Simashev.
That was Simashev.
I love Simashev so much. I hope he becomes a thing.
He will be.
And last year was Bouillon. So I would probably say Luke Hughes, Zeev Bouillon.
Oh, in terms of the best players.
Yeah, Jamie Drysdale.
Oh, you're ordering your top. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to Drysdale, Simashev, and then.
But you have Schaefer, right? You got to put Schaefer somewhere.
Well, yeah, Schaefer too. I mean, okay, let me just jot these names down. So we've got Jiricek. I think he goes at the end.
Yes.
Schaefer, Hughes, who was the other ones? Simashev.
So you have Drysdale.
You
have then in 2021 you have
Hughes.
2022 is Jiricek. 2023 is Simashev.
2024
is Zeev Bouillon.
Right. Okay, so
that's where he ranked them. Does not mean that the best defenseman might not be on this list.
Yeah,
because there's also Brock Faber that you could put on. Also Jake Sanderson as well in 2020.
Okay, I'll say. Oh boy, I'd say Hughes, Bouillon, Schaefer, Simashev, Drysdale, Jiricek.
Ooh,
I love Drysdale, but like Simashev is a defenseman, like defense.
I'm more surprised about where you have Schaefer by comparison.
It's close. Like Schaefer, Simashev is probably relatively close, but they're just very different.
But like you have a guy.
I love Zeev Bouillon, man.
No, that's fair.
I love Zeev Bouillon. Like, I don't know. I feel like he has a bit more of that like real offensive zone dominance to him, but Schaefer is right. If you wanted Schaefer over Bouillon, I would not complain. I would go, yep, okay, sure, fine. I get it. You know, there are similarities between the two of them, I would say. But Luke Hughes, I think, is the guy that I think would be number one there, but that's also really close. They're all good players though.
All in a similar tier, but if you had to pick the best defenseman out of all those draft years,
might be Luke Hughes. Yeah.
Oh no,
especially because I've also seen him the most.
Oh, I also mean like some of the names you didn't put on the list, like a Brock Faber, like a Jake Sanderson.
There are others that have developed into a heck of a player.
Because I know you glaze Brock Faber quite a bit nowadays.
We love Brock.
Honestly, it's well-deserved glaze. He's a great
player.
Great.
Yeah, he is. He's exactly what I love in a defenseman, and I just was asleep at the wheel. The biggest problem with Kuznetsov is that the league is still biased against smaller centers. That is very true. Knowing Boston's tendencies,
Robertson too, but only he's a winger.
Yeah. Kuznetsov likely will not be used properly. I think Jordan Stahl hangs up. I think you're wrong on that. I think Boston, like they had Brad Marchand. Like Brad Marchand's not big, and I know he's not a center. Yeah, so it's like they have room for those guys. It's just maybe they hold them to a higher standard. But I look at Huznadinov and go, I mean, he was playing good minutes for them down the stretch, and I know they kind of liked him.
They had to bring him
So
in. Like, you wouldn't
yeah,
trade away a guy, like, or trade for a guy if you weren't interested in the player generally.
yeah. I think Boston's a really good fit, and I think he will outplay the concerns. Like I think he's exactly what Boston needs and wants and is looking for. I mean, if they give up and he does end up a Carolina Hurricane, then good for the Hurricanes. They win again, right? But like, I don't know. I'm not thinking that's going to
Like,
happen.
even if Fabian Lysell doesn't end up being a top 6 NHLer, that
Yeah.
third line of
Yep.
those two guys plus whoever else they want to put in. Maybe they don't trust Huznadinov at center for whatever reason, and then it becomes a third line of Minton, Lysell, and Huznadinov. That still sounds stupid. That could be one of the better third lines in the league if that's the route they choose. But I'd push for Fabian to play in the top 6.
Do you have access to Elite Prospects API? I do not. Everything I do is all done by hand, basically. So that sucks. But yes, I mean, if I had $1 bajillion, I would use the Elite Prospects API. It'd be way easier.
You sure they wouldn't also have ads on that data to make more money?
Maybe. Do I have any alternative ideas for getting prospect data? I mean, build a pipe, like use AI and build a scraper model for game sheets. Like I've done that before. I've done that. I did that last summer, so that kind of helps. But yeah. Top overrated prospect this year for you? Well, it depends on what you mean by overrated. Like if Caleb Denoye goes 3rd overall, I wouldn't do it, and I feel like that highly overrates him. But I mean, I think Aitchison is very miscast, if that's what you mean by overrated.
Well, you don't have him ranked, so I think that's probably a bigger discrepancy than Caleb Denoye.
Probably.
Because at least there's an NHL role in your mind for Caleb Denoye, even if it is massive reach, right?
Sure.
I think it has to be that.
Aitchison's trickier, I think. Aitchison is trickier. And
this is
spooky.
not meant to like badger the poor guy. I like him as a person. Great dude. Yeah. Met him, interacted with him. Well, met him online, okay? But
yeah,
awesome person.
Brady Martin or Ryan Leonard? Ryan Leonard, I think.
Ryan Leonard.
Would you rather have the 1st overall pick this year or Lucas Raymond? Probably Lucas Raymond. Yep. Lil John Mooney is a sick rapper name. I agree. Okay.
Yeah, first album, Dark Side of the Moon.
Where are we here? A lot of talk about Toronto. I could see. Yeah, I agree. I think Austin could be a nice spot for the NHL. How long ago did you live in Hamilton? I lived there from 2008 until 2012, 13, something like that.
Oh, so when you were,
I went to university there.
I'm
a master boy. Okay. And look, I mean, I was there for the Great Recession, and that was rough in Hamilton because there were a lot of steel jobs there that just evaporated.
Mm-hmm.
And now a lot of those factories are automated. So Hamilton is still recovering from that. But I love Hamilton. It's got a soft spot in my heart. A lot of people are doing good stuff there, good businesses. It's a good time.
I was here in 2008. Then my parents bought the house that we're currently in, and the value has gone up tremendously, and I will never hope to own a house like this.
It's true. The GTA needs input from the Japanese to get their urban transport in order. See, the thing about Japan is that the thing about Japan and Europe is, something may have happened about 80 years ago that caused a bit of a blank slate, to develop your urban centers a little bit differently.
Yes, that is true.
I don't know if we want to talk too much about exactly what those events might have been.
You just say World
War. Fingers crossed none of that happens in Toronto.
I don't think there's any reason you can't say
No,
World
I know.
War.
I'm just being a dink.
YouTube's not going to demonetize us for talking about World War.
I mean, we don't make money anyway, so who cares?
No. YouTube ad revenue is not good, people.
YouTube ad revenue is not very good.
It is always dog doo-doo.
Yeah. And yes, it was Pope Formosus was the one that was dug up and put on trial.
Was this like the Avignon Pope type deal?
I have no idea.
When like the papacy like splintered and there was one fake pope that was in France.
Pope Formosus was a legitimate pope. Oh, 891 to 896. Okay, so this happened like a gagillion years ago. But yes, that's the one. That's a fun story to look up. That's a fun one.
Yeah, it's funny because as soon as Pope Leo got elected to the papacy, all I could think of is the pop-up notification in EU4 with an American courier controller.
Yeah.
I couldn't. My brain just thought of the most EU4 thing when the Pope got elected. It's
Yeah.
there's like the American flag in the courier control.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, they're not a
Uh,
Catholic nation.
there's a lot of Catholics in Korea though, so who knows?
Oh no,
Um,
America.
yeah. Everyday people are responsible for the car being so popular. Oh, I mean, I guess people prefer freedom of travel. I mean,
Uh,
Toronto, people who live in Toronto have freedom of
I
travel.
Look, I'm
Like,
going to be honest. I've just been getting my license as a 24-year-old. I still prefer not having to drive because I can do other
yeah,
things.
yeah, I can play Smash Bros on the subway while I go
Yeah.
to work. Like,
I like
I don't
taking the
know.
time to prep myself
Look,
for whatever I'm doing at work
hey,
those days.
if you like driving, drive.
Yeah.
But mathematically speaking,
Too many drivers.
it is extraordinarily inefficient. It is a terrible way for people to get around. Like, the problem is the lack of density.
Like a major center, like not necessarily
Well,
around
sure.
to
Like
other places.
if you live in Canmore, obviously you're not going to take the, you can drive around at Canmore, but like if you want a dense urban center, you have to have public
Yeah.
transit. Like, I don't personally, and this is just me, this is just my opinion. I would much rather be able to walk out my front door, go for a 15-minute walk, and be able to walk down a street, have some shops accessible, like I'd rather walk places, than drive. But if
Yes.
you want to drive, fine. It's just the car, like think about it mathematically, right? Think of how big a car is, and there might be one person in there. Think of
Generally,
how many
yes.
think of how many people you can stick in the surface area of a car or the width of a 4-lane road. Like, it's just not an efficient use of space. And so when you have that many people driving cars in an urban center like Toronto, for example, then
So
you're gonna
painful.
like you're sitting in traffic. Like, is that what you want to do? Like, do you want to sit
Dude,
in traffic for like
it's
an
so
hour?
painful. I cut like those. I'm gonna try and stop mentioning me having to work these overnight shifts, but like it's so bad for me when I wake up in the morning. Or not when I wake up. I don't fall asleep at work, I promise, and that I actually don't do. But when I get up, when I'm trying to get out at 11 a.m. and Liberty Village is packed with people, and all I want to do is go home and sleep because I gotta come back the next
Yeah.
day in less than 12 hours, mind you. And I walk 80% of the way to Ossington Station before the first bus I saw, which was still not even at the next stop on the route, is at.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
end up rolling my ankle because of the excessive walking.
Yeah.
Gosh darn it, people. Please.
Yeah.
Please. My sanity. My
everyday people
sanity.
everyday people don't want to be in the public transportation environment. I'd be very curious what you meant by that. I don't know what you mean by that. I think you might mean that you don't want to be around a whole bunch of people all in the same train car, perhaps.
I mean,
but
I hate it, but I deal
I
with it.
mean, also, like, that's also on the government to like keep them clean.
It's not
And
even that terrible,
also, I don't know.
usually.
Yeah, it's not that bad. Like,
It's just the
what
crazy
is
homeless people
I
every
think
once in a while.
honestly, I think these people might be Americans because American public transit is horrifying. Like, New York City subway, I cannot stand. It is brutal.
I think it's
And so
hilarious because Eric Andre goes on there and does really funny things.
yes, that is true. But like the Toronto subway system, like for all the crap it gets from people, is pretty good.
It's crappy to
And
me because of the times I have to use it.
well, we get it. You work overnights. It's
No, you don't get it. Go ahead.
but it's the whole, this is another thing about like people who complain about the government. It's like a lot of the times these are things that your government should be doing, but if you're complaining about it for good reason, it's not like the fault, it's the fault of the service itself, not just it's not like if you made it a profit driven enterprise that it would automatically just like become a better, like, think about it this way. Like, you pay $3,000 a month for a apartment in Toronto. If you buy a car because you have to, That's another, you pay for the insurance on that.
Pay
You
for the
pay for your
gas.
car payments every month. You pay for gas. People just can't afford that. Like, and the time you waste
And
sitting in a
parking.
car
You have to pay for
and
parking too. And
like
parking's
it's
excruciatingly bad.
just by the structure of how humans live. At some point, it makes no sense. It just makes no sense. Like, there's just no way around it, unfortunately. And we've built cities instead of focusing on like density and accessibility. It's all based around cars. And like, yeah, sure, people want to drive a car. Okay, it doesn't mean it's not fucking dumb. Pardon my French. Like, it is kind of dumb the way that's like the focus. But anyway,
At least in epicenters, like city centers.
Yeah, in cities, right? Like,
it makes sense further out because you need something a little more versatile in order to,
and it's expensive.
And,
like, public transit is expensive.
And they don't deviate from their routes unless like they get like not trains, but even like there was a police blockade on my way to work, and the guy's like, I gotta call the people and see what I could do. All he had to do was turn left and then turn right again, and we'd be back on the route because the bus was gonna turn anyways.
Anyway, I don't know. I guess, I mean, I grew up in Toronto, right? Like, I grew up in a city, and I'm obviously not saying that like every single settlement in the universe is like, if you don't have public transit, you're a moron. Like, it's just a matter of like, when you have a certain number of people in a place, like I mean, look, you could do things like Houston does, where every single road is 8 lanes wide, and you have 8 gajillion highways going everywhere.
Everything's bigger in Texas, okay? That's
if you want. What?
Everything's bigger in Texas, and that's a little overkill.
Well, yes,
that might be a little overkill, but maybe it's not.
But if you want that, fine. I certainly do not. I would rather use my feet to go places, and have the ability to like trust that I'm going to be able to get across town in 40 minutes.
But sometimes even with the TTC, you can't even trust it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, sure, but it's a little bit better than sitting in a car. Like, I don't know. I hate sitting in traffic. Like, having to be actively aware sitting in traffic. It's crazy.
I think the moral of the story is Toronto is flawed, and everything should work around me and my time. So
exactly.
That's where I stand. Stop going to Liberty Village on weekend mornings, okay? Screw everybody who does that.
There's like a gajillion people who live there, so that's not going to change.
Just stay at home until 12 a.m., please, or until 12 p.m., please. That's all I'm asking.
Yes, correct.
Just let me get home so I can go to sleep.
Yeah. Also, by the way, I'm not slandering Canmore. I'm just using Canmore as an example.
Canmore's
where public
awesome.
transit probably isn't necessary. Canmore's awesome. It's just a place where public transit at the moment is probably not necessary because there's like 2,000 people there or something, right? Something small, right? Like, who cares? But, you're not going to put trains in Canmore. That'd be silly.
All right, let's get through this now.
Yeah, let's get through this.
But I did have a lot of fun talking about this because it is fun.
Rank were prospects from where they were in the draft year: Misa, Catton, Lafreniere, Beniers, Lindstrom. So, I mean, Beniers, Misa, Catton, Lafreniere, Lindstrom. Maybe Lafreniere, Lindstrom, same group. I'm just going off of where my heart and brain go when I think about what I thought of these players when they were drafted. Beniers, Misa, Catton, and then one of Lafreniere or Lindstrom. What about Marchand? Do you love? Why are you such a huge Panther and Bruin fan? I'm assuming it's just because Brad Marchand's fun to watch.
He's awesome. Do I hate when he plays against my team in the playoffs? Absolutely. But that guy is hilarious.
Exactly.
That guy is so good at hockey as well, and just trying to get under your skin. I think the thing that a lot of people don't realize about Brad Marchand is that he is also super easy to frustrate. So if you just give it back to him, he'll take dumb penalties. Like, there is an answer to Brad Marchand, but he is also so good and possibly a Hall of Famer, in my opinion. Just unreal player, unreal hockey player.
Yeah. Okay.
And also, the totally unbiased Steelhead fan, I know most of the things you say to me are jokes. You don't have to clarify. It's okay. It's funnier when you don't tell me it's a joke. I know it's a joke, okay?
Yes. Yeah.
We're good. We cool, man. We cool.
Apparently, we need to bring a therapist on the stream. Nah, I think we're all right. I like being unhinged. It's way more fun that way. It's a good time.
Yeah.
Therapists only bring you down, bro.
They only ground you in reality. Who wants to be in reality?
Yeah, they only ground you in reality,
In reality, my ankle hurts like crazy, but I'm not...
Yeah, no therapist is going to help you with that.
Exactly.
That's just how it is, Any goaltender prospects that you people are high on this year? I mean, Ivan Kovic was fantastic at the under 18s, but he's 6 feet tall, so who knows? Maybe he goes in the 7th round and that's nominated for a Calder one day.
Who's David Phillips? Big
Yeah,
star,
David Phillips.
big
I mean, David
gems.
Phillips likes the Slovak guy, Michael Pradel, and he was really good at the
Okay.
under 18s. I like Andrianov as well, the Russian guy.
Does David also like Andrianov, or is he cooler on him a bit?
I mean, I think David's a little cooler because I think Andrianov really relies on his athleticism, and I think David's more of like a
technically sound.
focused,
Okay.
yeah, like technical position wise kind of guy, which makes sense. I mean, yeah, I'm not a goaltending expert, but I do know David likes Pradel.
Who's your favorite goalie of all time, Will? Because I think I know
My
the
favorite
answer.
goalie of all time is Dominic Hasek.
Yeah, and was he a technically sound goalie?
No,
exactly.
He was the furthest thing from that you can imagine.
Exactly.
And
there are different. There are different styles of goalies that.
Hey,
long as they stop pucks.
I want a goalie to be like Gumby. That's what I want. Bendy, stretchy, whatever, good times. But yeah, no.
I want a goalie to be like Igor Shesterkin, guy who can play the puck and stop the puck. That guy rocks.
I want Ron Hextall. That's what I want. Every goalie should be like Ron Hextall. Score goals, punch guys in the face.
Okay, Igor Shesterkin can't do that. He's tried multiple times. I guess he sucks.
Yep. Okay. Well, I think I'm planning a trip for Toronto this year. Oh, right on.
Yeah.
What are your recommendations for places to eat? Honestly, there are so many good places to eat in Toronto. Like, it's probably the best thing about the city.
It
depends also on like what you it depends on what, well, yes, but like I'm assuming that you're factoring that into your budget. Like, it depends on your budget and like what kind of food you want. One of my favorite restaurants is a French place called La Bertin. My family goes there a lot, or not a lot, but relatively often. And it's on College Street, Lebratin. It's pretty small. I would get a reservation. It's really good French food, and the staff are super great. What else? There's tons of them.
If you want a super expensive option that is incredible and like maybe worthwhile. Oh, I just forgot its name. It's so good. It's a Spanish place on I think it's also on College Street. I'm not.
There's a place. There's a
but it's really expensive, but it's really good. I'm trying to let me find it.
Yeah. It depends on what you are looking for. Like, there's a really good famous-ish restaurant downtown.
Bar Isabel. That's what it is. It's Bar Isabel.
Okay.
But it's a lot of money.
If you want good Thai food and you can get in, go to Pai downtown. It's pretty good, but it is really busy. So you might find somewhere just as good, pretty close to as good elsewhere. But I also haven't been there in a long time. I mean,
Toronto is littered with excellent food
like there
options.
are so many. Like,
even if you search in, like, I typed in Spanish food Toronto, and there are a ton of restaurants all really close together that have like all super high ratings, like all 4.4 and above ratings.
There's a place around where I grew up that opened right around when I moved out called Bandit Brewery. So if you want like a microbrewery kind of thing where they give really good food and it's a nice day, they have a gigantic patio. It's like an old auto shop that they turned into a brewery. They're really good, and it's at like Dundas and Bloor, so like subway accessible, and their food is super, super good. There's like no shortage of really, really good places to go eat. Like, you just trust your Google reviews, look for the right cuisine, and probably get reservations if you're gonna go out and eat.
I will say, if you're up for like something super, like, this is my homie, or like, my inner homer in me, a Etobicoke based pick. It's not going to be the greatest quality thing, but like, it's my favorite thing, or one of my favorite things is Apache Burger. It's not at the level of these other places.
Yeah.
But if you want to come out my way, near Kipling Station at 6 Points, Apache Burger is just a legendary burger place. It probably won't wow you by any means, but like, it is just a good, solid, classic.
Yeah.
Etobicoke burger that is Awesome. And the Leafs, when Matt Sundin was a Leaf, because I'm sure the dietary restrictions don't let them go there anymore. The practice facility is right down on Kipling, so like
Yeah,
I went to
Apache burger's really
dude, I
good.
went to school almost like just like 3 minutes away from where the Leafs practice, just because they practice on Kipling. But
Yep.
it's far out of the city. It's all the way
Yeah.
west. Like it's definitely at the limits, and you'd have to go. You could access it though, because it's right near Kipling Station, and you could walk there. But you'd have to make quite a trip west out to my neck of the woods.
Yeah, it's about as far west as it gets. If you also oh okay, well let's but that's a good, yeah, like that's a good starter. I know you mentioned that La Bertin kind of is up your alley. That place is really really good, and it's really small. Like it's a cool little spot. That's really good. Which of you two are best at cooking? That would certainly be me.
Yeah, I don't cook very often, but
Yeah.
the stuff I do cook, I'm quite excellent
Oh,
at.
we made a lentil soup last week that was
Oh, so
oh,
it's
the
you and your
best.
partner cooking. You know, I cook alone actually, so
Well, I
maybe
cook
I take it
generally.
back.
I generally am the cook, but we split the duties on that. There was a lot of chopping, a lot of vegetables, a lot of time, so we split that one. But generally, it's me.
My brother would clear you, not to be like my.
Hey, I don't
If I
doubt
if
it.
I
You
if
know,
I cared enough, I probably would be a better cook than you. Because
eventually, it didn't take. It took me until I was like 28 to like really start caring about what I was putting inside my body. So you
well, my
know,
brother
it
and
takes time.
like my entire family already does that for me. That's the other thing. Like it
Yeah,
would just be inefficient for me
yeah,
to do it. And also, I don't like
yeah.
cooking. I don't like spending time doing that stuff. That's really.
Well, that's
But
a hurdle.
when I get, I'm sure when I get, or when I have to move away from all the people in my family, which probably not going to be too far down the road, I'll probably get a lot better
One
at
day.
it.
Yeah, yeah, it happens.
And then I will be better than you at it. Almost,
Yeah,
almost certainly, I think.
yeah. Also, yeah, you mentioned yeah, there are definitely a lot of like non-white communities in Toronto. So like Jamaican food in Toronto, like you mentioned that specifically, super, super good. Indian food, unreal Indian
Yep.
food here. Like you could find anything really. If
There's
you
great
want to
Italian
try
food
stuff,
even.
well, yeah, Italian food
And
is
like
everywhere.
and I'm not a big fan of other people's Italian food because
Right.
I'm Italian. Like there's a pizza
Americanized
or
Italian is a little.
I think it's Queen Margarita is the place. It's a decent pizza place,
Yeah. There's some good pizza places here, yeah, that too.
but it's more traditional Italian pizza, not like,
yeah.
not the Americanized
the-
version.
There's a pizza place right by Liberty Village that I went to.
Oh,
That's,
Libretto?
Is it?
I think it's Libretto.
No, I think it's north of Brooklyn. Yeah, I think I went to north of Brooklyn, right on Queen Street. That place was really good too. All right. Okay. How's
I'm
Marchand
pretty
so-
sure I'd be better than you if I cared. It's my go-to line when my friends would beat me at StarCraft.
Yeah, sounds about right.
That
I hear it
sound-
all the time. Yeah.
But I'm not actually coping with that because my family, no, my family are like it's filled with cooks, like people who are excellent at cooking food. Even my cousin went to school to be a chef. So like I have quite the people or like the circle of experience to go to and rely on to make me pretty excellent. But then again, TikTok's pretty good nowadays for giving you great recipes. So maybe one day, like 10 years down the line, Will and I will do a cook-off and we'll invite you guys to it. If when we
Sure.
have $80 billion, because you'll get us there, right? You guys will get us
exactly.
there.
Yeah. $80 billion coming down the pipe. Marchand is so effective at his size because he wants to win more than you do, which is always what I'm looking for.
Yep.
What is your favorite restaurant of all time? I looked this up. I mean, I didn't have to look up what my favorite,
I have
but
to look mine up.
if you have the budget is no question, and you're in Toronto and you want to go somewhere super, super, super fancy for a really special occasion. I went there for a big birthday in my family earlier this year. Go to Scaramouche. It's in North Toronto, up around like St. Clair and Bloor or St. Clair and Avenue Road. And it overlooks the city. Like it's up on a hill. Like the city of Toronto kind of goes uphill north of Bloor. And it's on a hill overlooking the city. It's like in a condo building, and it's like kind of this weird way to get in. But it is the best. Like it's like super cool in there. The staff are unbelievable, and the food is unbelievable, and the drinks are great, and everything is. It is not cheap, but it is worth every penny. Like
Bar,
if you
Bar
go there for something
Isabel's my
special.
pick for that in Toronto.
Yeah.
But the place, like my favorite restaurant ever, was a place I went to in Milan for like my 19th birthday, and I had ossobuco.
Overseas.
I had ossobuco and
Nice.
risotto milanese, which is a saffron risotto. It was
Yep.
unfathomably
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. I had I remember one thing that I ate that I always will remember for some reason is when my family, we were in Amsterdam at one point, and we went to this hotel we were staying at, and in the lobby
Weed
they had a
sushis, like
no,
legit
no, no,
weed
no, no.
sushis.
I was like
Sushi,
16, so I wasn't there yet.
Oh, okay,
But
okay.
we had they had like a tap, and you pulled on the tap, and arugula ice cream came out.
Oh, what?
And it honestly, it was like almost like gelato, like it was super
It would
light
have
and
to
like
be.
fluffy, and it was insanely good. And that honestly, like relative to what I expected before I put it in my mouth and what I thought on the other side of the experience, the delta there has stuck with me ever since I was like 15, 16 years old. Like I don't know why,
Food
but I
experiences
don't remember
when
the
you're that
hotel.
age, yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember any place or whatever. I just remember what it was like and that. But I don't know. Scaramouche in Toronto is like
That
top
reminds
of
me of like
quality.
that reminds me when I went to Israel as like a 15, 16-year-old, and we had schnitzel the first day we were there, and it was unbelievably
Nice.
good.
Yep, schnitzel done well is pretty good
In Israel of all places, but Israeli food's
yeah.
actually excellent too.
Yeah, yeah. Talking about
That's a
stuff created by
place,
you
too.
Canadians, Nanaimo bars feel like something that would either be really disgusting or really incredible. That is true. I mean, Nanaimo bars, they're
I don't think
good.
I've
Like,
had one,
I mean,
honestly.
I'm just one Canadian, and my experience personally with Nanaimo bars is when I was a kid, my mom would pick it up sometimes from the grocery store, maybe once every 5 years. And that's kind of, it's like, for me, it's like the similar thing to like eating KFC. It's like I don't go there very often, but like once a decade, sure, I'll go get some fried chicken and whatever, have a sandwich or something like that. And it's a nice, whatever, but I'm not eating KFC all day.
No.
Right? Like if I'm eating Nanaimo bars more than once, it's like Cinnabon. It's like if I'm eating a Nanaimo bar more than once every like 2-3 years, I'm not a huge fan of them. But boy, when you get one and you want one, they hit good. Nanaimo bars are worth a try. I personally, instead of Nanaimo bars, I'm more of a butter tart guy.
Yes.
Plain butter tarts. If you have to,
there's a butter tart place right by my house. Actually, that's awesome.
Yeah, if you have to, put a couple raisins in your butter tarts.
On Kipling and Queensway.
Yeah, in general, butter tarts I would say are the better sort of Canadian vibe than Nanaimo bars, but you can't go wrong. I mean, Canadians do desserts quite well. Okay.
Tartistry on Kipling and Queensway. Yeah. I think that's what
prediction of the score for London and Oshawa game 3. 4-3
have London lost a game yet?
Double overtime. Why not both is a great answer to that too. You could do both, I'd space them out a little bit, but do both. You got to try things, What's the harm? Okay, you asked about if London has lost a game yet. They did. They lost game 1, 4-2, but it's 1-1.
Okay.
4-2, 5-2 with the two games. So I'm going to say 4-3 double overtime. There you go.
For who?
London. You didn't have okay, last thing and then we're going to leave. You didn't have a strong baking culture in your household. Honestly, no. I didn't personally. I didn't grow up with bakers. And I suck at baking. I'm terrible at it. I can cook. I can make a dinner. I can make dinner all day long if I wanted to. But if I
like cooking's easier than baking.
It is. And if there was a person in my house and he was like, if you don't make me a delicious chocolate chip cookie from scratch, I will burn your house down. I'm calling the insurance company and telling them that my house is probably going to burn down. Like, I don't trust myself baking whatsoever.
I'm calling somebody in my family and I'm going to be okay because they will get me through that.
And you might like this, AJ. I will never also get over the fact of how, I know this isn't quite baking, but I will never get over being so traumatized watching my father try to make lasagna from scratch, like with a pasta maker. And he bought a pasta maker just to make lasagna. He's like, I'm going to try it. I'm going to make my own pasta. It's going to be great. It's going to be delicious.
Manja cake.
I mean, my dad is capable of showing emotion sometimes, but not usually. He showed a lot of emotion trying to roll out a piece of lasagna pasta.
See what I mean?
It did not last very long.
Will's just not from cooking bloodlines like I am. That's
my
the
dad can
difference.
cook, just not making pasta from scratch. If it involves
Well, my dad
flour and
can,
dough,
so I win.
if it's flour and dough, that's where things fall apart and die.
That's my dad's bread and butter,
Yeah.
actually. Funny enough, and
In my
you know
hypo-
what it is, really, more than anything, it's because he's Italian and wanted to be really
Right.
good at it. So my brother's
And,
excellent at it as well.
And even if to answer this last thing, and then we'll go. Even if I had a recipe, I think I would screw it up. I don't know why. Every time I think
Well, there's a lot of
I don't know
pressure
what
on
it is.
you too, as well, to
Well, that
to
too.
do that.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure, right? It's like I'm gonna burn your house down. It's like, well, okay, yeah, but
Me
please
making the
don't.
cookie might actually for you, honestly.
Well, actually, I will say I did for Christmas one year. I think it was 2 years ago. I made little like ginger molasses balls, and they were outstanding. That was a successful baking opportunity.
Oh
And I
wait,
have made like coffee cake before, but other than that,
you can't make a turkey, so I'm definitely gonna beat you. Not that I can, but I have family that can guide me through it. And
I mean, I have my oven and I have had confrontations over turkey before.
did you break your oven? Is that what you're saying?
No, I just have a double oven, and I think there's something about the air circulation in a double
We
oven.
have a double oven.
Yeah, I don't trust.
You just have
Me- I
it's just a
I
skill
suck.
issue.
I mean, I can roast a chicken, no problem, but a big turkey like that, I don't know. For some reason, I'm cursed. Let's get out of here. We've run way over time.
This is the
Mostly
longest
talking
stream
about
I think
public
we've ever
transit.
done.
Yeah,
We're almost at 3 hours.
yeah, and we're doing pretty decent numbers considering where we were 2 hours ago.
It's because
But anyway,
this is all people want. They just want us
Exactly.
to talk to shoot the shit and talk about us
Off-season-
competing and cooking. And I guess we have
off-season
good
streams, baby.
Yeah, you know
Off-season
what?
Streams.
I'll
It's
live
gonna
stream.
happen.
I'll run these live streams while I'm at work with a microphone and see how long it takes them before they tell me to not do that anymore.
Sure.
Oh
Yeah.
wait, Game TV's down. You gotta fix it, AJ.
Then we could watch you do it. Anyway,
yeah, watch me
thanks
call
for-
somebody else to do that because that's literally
Yeah.
all I can do.
Yeah. Well, on that note, thanks for joining us. This was a ton of fun. Again, we got Scouching reports coming out tomorrow, the day after, and Friday. We got a show Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll talk about the games that happen between now and then. Probably find some other nonsense topic to talk about, Nubby's Number Factory strategies. I just want to find any excuse to talk about Nubby's Number Factory.
I'll review the EU5 trailer.
Yeah, EU5 trailer review.
Now I have to.
GTA 6 detailed review incoming off the trailer. Going to find every 99 hidden moments in GTA 6's trailer.
And when the
nobody
Oilers
will
go
show
down
you.
in this series, we'll have designer and editor Ray Ann's crash out on stream. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
we appreciate
will.
you all sticking around for this.
Yeah,
but it's quite a long one.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try and get the timestamps.
Time flies.
Time
flies when you're having fun, right?
It is. It does. It definitely
right.
does.
Yeah.
So on that note, guys.
Yeah.
Well, you take it out actually, because you are the host.
Hey, do what you like. But on that note, yeah, we're gonna see you Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern time. And in the meantime, be safe and eat well and
leaves
learn how to
for
cook, you know?
cup.
Yep.